So there I was, mid-pulse check, staring at a man's belt buckle. Not my belt buckle, Comrade Shu Wei's, retired Army commander, reportedly crippled, reportedly done for. He didn't even blink. 8 years in the Army will do that to a guy, just unbuckled, calm as a tax audit, like this was Tuesday. I was the doctor, technically. My hands were still figuring that out. Broad shoulders, narrow waist, a cane he leaned on like it owed him money. Then the shirt came off too, because apparently full transparency is a military value. 8-pack abs, a V-line you could use as a protractor. Nosebleed, instant, both barrels. My professional medical opinion? Sir, that's a lot of man. He asked if I was okay. I said the weather was dry. The weather was not the problem. While I bled discreetly into my own collar, the memories hit. All of them. Fast download, zero consent. Oh no. Oh no no no. I know this face. I know this whole miserable plot. I'm not me. I'm cannon fodder. Specifically, I am the disposable ex-wife in my own cousin's web serial. Title, and I quote, because I have to live with it, Remarrying the Childless Army Commander, pregnant 3 times in one night and 5 pregnant women. My cousin wrote it. My cousin transmigrated into it as the heroine. Guess who transmigrated into the punching bag? Quick lore dump, because the universe loves exposition. In the original book, this hot disaster of a man gets hurt on a mask. Demoted. Written off. His fiance's family, meaning my family, decides they don't want him anymore, but definitely still want his gifts. So they trick some poor orphan girl into marrying him instead. That girl is me. Was me. The original owner, rest her fictional soul. She gets framed. Family exiled to the countryside. She loses her job. She screams at the poor guy for being disabled, calls him a jinx. Real main character energy villain arc stuff. Except she's not the villain, she's just written badly. Then he gets exonerated, promoted, regimental commander, division commander, army commander, the whole ladder in one chapter. She's already left him for an educated youth who turns out to be a walking red flag. He beats her, locks her up. Police shrug, says it's a family matter. Meanwhile, my cousin swoops in with a magic space, cures his infertility, and they have 5 pregnancies in one night. Efficient. And me? I get to watch my own book self crawl back, get dragged home by my own cousin, and get taunted for choosing wrong. Cool premise. Love it. 0 notes. Kidding. Infinite notes. Here's the part that really got me. My cousin left the cheat item, a Rubik's Cube-shaped space, sitting untouched near me for 10 years. On purpose. So she could scoop it up the second she transmigrated in. 10 years of dust as a plot device. That's not writing. That's premeditated. So no, absolutely not. I refuse the arc. I am a licensed traditional Chinese medicine doctor. I am also a national Rubik's Cube champion, 4x4. Blindfolded, if you buy me a coffee first. Childless commander who can't get up? Give me a few needles in 40 minutes. My cousin wants my man and my cheat code. In this economy, dream on. Comrade, is my condition curable? Will it affect my ability to marry a lesbian? That's what came out of my mouth. I meant fiancé. My tongue had other plans. Shu Wei's ears went the color of a stop sign. He asked, dead serious, if a real doctor examines patients by staring. I told him you have to feel it, then didn't finish the sentence. Congratulations to his ears. They achieved a new personal record of red. He froze, fully petrified. A 185-centimeter man turned into a garden statue by one unfinished sentence. I told him to put his clothes back on. He exhaled like he'd survived an interrogation. Here's the professional secret. His condition is medically unfixable with current tools. Broken plumbing, no replacement parts. That's canon. That's the whole reason the book saves the cure for my cousin's magic spring water. Until I get my hands on that spring, I've got nothing but acupuncture and vibes. So I told him, come back daily, needles, 2 months, should improve. Also the touching. The pectoral touching is medically necessary, I've decided. He left leaning on his cane, spine straight, dignity mostly intact. I told him, see you next time, we'll be legally married by then. Now for the family. The people who raised me like a tax write-off. Auntie Liu Xiuying came in hot, spit flying, announcing my incredible fortune. Su Wei, rich family, officer status. My cousin's actual fiancé, now conveniently up for grabs since my cousin doesn't want him crippled. Translation, they want to keep the gifts and ship me off instead. Uncle puffed his pipe and gave me the whole speech. We raised you. We got you your job. We just want your happiness. Sure, and also my salary apparently. I asked why they didn't offer me to Shu Wei back when he was healthy and promotable. Silence. Great point. No rebuttal, thank you. I also mentioned the small detail that I live off my dead parents' pension, that my job at the health center came from an organization assignment, not their generosity, that they've been quietly pocketing my paycheck for 2 years. Cousin Chimboa tried the honor angle, taking care of a revolutionary hero, ungrateful me, blah blah. Then he suggested I just adopt out my future sister-in-law's baby for the officer's wife title. Bold plan for a man about to get slapped. He stepped toward me, finger pointed, big performance. Slap. Right across the face. Crisp, efficient. I have good form, thank you, acupuncture school. His brother Chen Guang gasped like I'd committed treason. Slap number 2. Same hand, same energy. I told him I hit him for his own good. Family motto, recycled. The room went dead quiet. Apparently the original girl never once raised her voice, let alone her palm. New management, new policy. I laid out the real terms. Refuse the marriage? Fine. But then they return the betrothal gifts. And lose the cousin's brand new factory job that came bundled with the deal? Nobody moved. Nobody could argue. Beautiful. Then I turned to the corner where my actual cousin, Chen Mei, sat quiet as a landmine. If it's such a great match, I said, why not let Mei marry him instead? Her eyes flickered. That specific flicker of someone receiving a memory download mid-conversation. I clocked it and filed it for later. Turns out, plot twist within the plot twist, my cousin has her own reasons to dodge Sue now. In her version of events, she's marrying someone else entirely. A Commerce Bureau director named Wang Jianguo, 40s. Fair, chubby, 2 kids already, allegedly generous with sugar and lard rations. The family's eyes lit up like slot machines. Sugar, sesame oil, a transistor radio. Uncle Sue called the whole daydream to order and pivoted back to me. Marry Sue Wei or lose the health center job to Director Howe's connections and get shipped to the countryside anyway. Officer's wife or exile, take your pick. Fine, I'll marry him. 2 conditions. 1, give back my salary from the last 2 years. 2, give back my grain ration book. They'd been cashing my paycheck at the finance office behind my back the whole time. 38 yuan a month. 912 yuan total. I did that math faster than either of my cousins can do long division. Chen Guang exploded first. Something about a camera he was promised. Auntie Xiu Ying called me an ingrate. Said family doesn't ask for compensation. Very rich, coming from the woman who's been stealing my paycheck. Uncle overruled them both. The Zhou family's dowry was worth more than my 2 years combined. He wanted this deal closed quietly. Fine by me. I want it now, I said, staring at my aunt's darkening face. She threw the cash and the ration book at me like it physically hurt. It probably did. My cousin Chen Mei looked strangely rattled by the whole exchange. Like the math didn't line up with whatever script she'd written in her head. Interesting. I walked to my room, if you can call a converted storage closet a room, and shut the door. Time to go dig up the family heirloom nobody's supposed to want yet. Behind me, a voice called out. Sister Ching. Only my real-world cousin calls me that. Not book cousin, real cousin. I did not stop walking. I slammed the door. If she's a native of this world, there's no way she knows to call me that. That nickname doesn't exist in the book. That nickname only exists back home, in the 21st century, over hot pot. So, my cousin also transmigrated. Filed that under extremely inconvenient, will address shortly. She knocked. Came in anyway. Stared at me like she was trying to read subtitles on my face. Asked if I'd transmigrated too. I played dumb. Badly, on purpose. What am I supposed to have transmigrated with, I asked. She backed off, muttering something about plot revisions. Then her eyes landed on the dusty storage basket behind me. I watched her calculate in real time. She offered to buy the trinket inside. Name your price, she said, eyes gleaming. I asked if she'd sell her own dead parents' belongings. Slammed the door on that too. Turns out, in her own book, she wrote the space as an heirloom of my parents, not hers. Poetic irony. She can't claim it without blowing her own cover. Devastating for her. Wonderful for me. She lingered outside, muttering about the countryside experience she's specially prepared for me. Something worse than the standard hunger and crop failure. Charming. Noted. Filed under things to prevent. Inside the basket, 1 metal cube, palm-sized, dusty, unbothered by the chaos it was about to cause. In the original text, my cousin activates it with a blood oath. Drip of blood, cube says yes, happily ever after for her. I borrowed a disposable needle from the clinic, because unlike some people, I don't need theatrics, and dripped blood on the thing. Nothing. Waited. Nothing. Tried again on the other family items just to rule things out. Also nothing. Great. Fantastic. Very useful information. Maybe the trial window hasn't opened. Maybe the blood has to be dramatic and desperate, not clinically extracted with proper needle technique. Maybe the plot has rules I don't respect. Then my competitive instincts kicked in, because apparently they survived transmigration. I picked the cube up and just started turning it. I competed nationally in speed cubing. I have solved bigger cubes than this, blindfolded, for fun, at parties, to intimidate people. This 4x4 toy was not going to outlogic me. Final turn. Click. Solved. Congratulations, you have activated the magic cube space. Status? Bound. 64 compartments bloomed in my head like a very aggressive spreadsheet. Level 1. Upgrade requirement, 1 kilogram of gold. Which, sure, I'll just find that lying around. Good news, my space can be upgraded. The heroine's version in the book never gets that option. Bad news, 1 kilogram of gold is not pocket change in 1976. 64 compartments, each one stackable to infinity for matching items. A silver grid that upgrades water to spirit spring quality. So far, identical to the book's version. Then, I saw the bug. Golden Spirit Infusion. Feed it any item, get back 10 times the quantity, once per item, resets at midnight. The book's heroine does not have this feature. I checked twice. She does not have this feature. My breathing went a little unstable. 1 kilogram of gold in, 10 kilograms out, tomorrow. The item loses its metal properties after that, so no infinite loop there, but still. Here's where my brain, trained by years of overthinking every rule set I've ever met, found the real loophole. Flour goes in, comes back tenfold. Turn that flour into 100 buns. Reinfuse the buns. Do the math. I did the math. The math was obscene. Grain coupons, cloth coupons, cash, all multipliable. I was drooling over a spreadsheet in my head like it was a buffet. Fists banged on my door. My aunt, demanding I hurry up and get moving to meet the Joe family. I stuffed the cube back in its dusty box, left it as a decoy for my cousin, and changed clothes. She thinks the cube is the source. Let her think that. It buys me time. When I walked out in a soft pink blouse, hair up, embroidered bag on my arm, the whole family went quiet. Uncle actually complimented my looks before immediately reminding me to obey my future mother-in-law and endure whatever comes my way without complaint. I told him he should try enduring his own greed sometime. Auntie threw the cash and ration book at me one more time for good measure, cursing the whole walk to the door. I counted every bill on the spot. She hates that. Good. Behind me, my cousin slipped into the storage room, found the decoy cube, and lit up like she'd won the lottery. My space. My cheat code. Once I activate it, you'll all see. Enjoy the dust, cousin. The trip to register with the Joe family ate the rest of my morning, and honestly, my brain wasn't even there. I spent the whole walk doing spirit infusion math in my head, ignoring actual government paperwork, looking, according to the office clerk's face, like a fool who'd wandered in off the street. 912 yuan sitting in my space. Multiply by 10, that's 9,120. Instant landlord energy. Except the space is petty about denominations. 50 10 yuan notes, 72 fives, 47 ones, 10 half yuan bills, each stacked in its own separate slot like a hostile filing system. Only one slot gets the tenfold treatment per day. 500 yuan max, today. Fine, I'll take the win. At the Joe family compound, Mother Shu looked me over like I was a substandard delivery. Changing the bride at the last minute, she sniffed. She'd wanted her own niece for her son, some delicate city girl, not an orphan swap. She launched into the full daughter-in-law manifesto. Obedience. Diligence. Quit your job. A woman's place is serving her man, worth 1,000 cured patients apparently. In the original story, the girl I used to be got so humiliated she started a screaming match, got blamed for everything, and poisoned Shu Wei's opinion of her forever. Rookie mistake. I asked, sweetly, how much compensation the Joe family planned to offer for my resignation. Also, monthly allowance going forward. Mother Shu reacted like I'd cursed in church. Auntie Xiao Ying tried to scold me for asking. I pointed out that quitting a job worth 456 yuan a year for zero pay didn't sound like the blessing everyone kept promising. Mother Shu, cornered, marched into the back room and produced an old wooden box. Gold bars. Gold bracelets. Enough to make my aunt's eyes nearly detach from her skull. She meant it as a humiliation prop. Look how petty this girl is. Watch her grovel or refuse. I did neither. I picked up the whole box, thanked her warmly, called her mom, and walked off with it like I'd been rehearsing. Meat bun, meat dog. Except in this version, I'm the dog, and I'm thrilled about it. That's when Zhu Wei came storming in, having overheard his mother trying to buy someone off. He recognized me from the clinic and forgot to be embarrassed about it, mostly because I was no longer wearing a lab coat. He told his mother the Zhou family doesn't buy people. Then he told me plainly that if we marry, his salary comes straight to me. Be still, my scheming heart. We finished the paperwork same day. Outside the civil affairs office, he handed me an envelope of cash and a full set of ration coupons. No hesitation, no lecture. In the book, this never happens. Bookham ices her out completely after the slap incident with his mother. Different woman, different rules apparently. He asked when I wanted to move my things in. I told him I'd handle it myself after my last shift. He offered his truck. I did not argue. Back at my uncle's house that evening, chaos had already broken out without me. My cousin Chen Mei sat pale against her bed frame, wrist wrapped in a bloody rag, looking like she'd lost a fight with a kitchen knife. Auntie was screaming about wasted opportunities with Director Hao. Cousin Chen Bo piled on about the money that opportunity represented. Cousin Chen Guang whined about his promised job. I knew exactly what that was. Not a suicide attempt. A blood oath. My cousin trying to bind the cube I'd already hollowed out. If she'd just used a needle like a normal person instead of theatrically slicing her wrist, she wouldn't be bleeding all over the furniture right now. The blood didn't take, obviously, because the space had already chosen its owner. She spiraled, muttering theories. Maybe the trial period hasn't ended. Maybe the timeline shifted. Maybe 2 more days. Auntie kept howling. My cousin finally snapped, promised she'd lock down the marriage certificate with Director Hao tomorrow, and stormed off. That triggered round 2. Auntie grabbed her by the braid, screaming about ingratitude, benefits owed to the family, threats about what happens if the marriage falls through. Fascinating detail. Auntie never once raises a hand to me, the orphan, because neighbors gossip about that. Her own daughter, though, fair game any day of the week. My cousin's whole face twisted with fury and disbelief. She built this family in her own story to favor sons and abuse the female lead's cousin. Apparently getting bullied by your own fictional creation stings extra. I left them to it, grabbed a bowl of leftover rice, and slipped back to my closet/bedroom to do actual business. The gold from Mother Shu went straight into the upgrade slot. Detected power of precious metal. Meets upgrade requirements. Upgrade? Yes. Obviously yes. 64 compartments became 125. Level 2. New requirement, 5 kilograms gold, 10 kilograms silver, steep, but we'll get there. New unlock. Fertile soil grid. Plants grow 10 times faster inside it. Bonus reward. 1 extra golden spirit infusion use, no time limit, plus a chunk of enhanced spring water. Countryside food problem. Essentially solved before I've even packed a bag. The river water I'd been quietly funneling into the space all day had already turned crystal clear, upgraded to spirit spring quality. I poured myself a glass. Cool. Sweet. Suspiciously refreshing for something that started as regular river water. Regular spring water tasted like fancy mineral water. No noticeable effects yet, but I wasn't about to complain about free premium hydration in the middle of a food shortage era. My cousin, meanwhile, is out there convinced the plot owes her a working cheat code any day now. Let her keep waiting. I've already got the receipts, the ration book, the gold, and a bug in the system that multiplies everything I touch. Book heroine, eat your heart out. This story just got a rewrite, and I did not consult the author. Let's recap the scoreboard because I like scoreboards. Salary, clawed back. Ration book, back in my hands. 2 cousins, slapped. On record, no regrets. Gold, redirected from my mother-in-law's humiliation trap straight into my personal upgrade fund. A husband who hands over his whole paycheck without me asking twice. And a cheat space my own cousin wrote into existence, sitting quietly in my head instead of hers. She's still out there, convinced 2 more days of waiting will fix her blood oath. Convinced the plot owes her a working cube. Convinced I'm just the disposable side character she scripted. Meanwhile, I'm the one holding the gold, the grain, and the 10 times multiplier. Here's the part that actually worries me though. Not the aunt, not the uncle, not even my cousin's scheme with Director Hao. It's that voice she mentioned. Plot character correction. Something in this story already noticed us. Something already started editing. I don't know who's holding the pen anymore, my cousin, the system, or whoever built this cube in the first place. But I know one thing for certain. I intend to be the one holding it when the ink dries. Countryside, here we come. Bring snacks. I brought enough for a small army, because obviously I did. So the wedding paperwork is done, and now we get shipped to the countryside. Same morning. Romantic. Picture the train, wooden benches, 3 days of bodies, sweat, and one screaming baby somewhere in car 4. My new mother-in-law sits across from me, clutching her snacks like a dragon on a very sad horde. Su-wei sits beside me, cane between his knees, spine like a flagpole. And me? I brought supplies. Not normal supplies, space supplies. See, I have a cheat now. A metal Rubik's Cube that turns one of anything into 10 of the same thing overnight. So while everyone else gnaws multigrain bricks, I unpack eggs. Steamed buns stuffed with pickled greens, sweet soy milk in the kettle, boiled peanuts, braised chicken over rice, still warm. Su-wei takes one bite of a bun and just stops, stares at it. This man survived 8 years in the army eating gravel, and a pickled vegetable bun broke his brain. Cute. The whole car turns to look, sniffing, judging, starving. There's a jealous girl across from us. Zhao Mei, educated youth, expert eye roller. She decides my meat is a moral crime. Bringing meat on a train just to tempt everyone. Sure, Zhao Mei. I packed a picnic specifically to hurt you. Then there's Auntie Zhao. Loud, nosy, glorious. I slip a piece of chicken onto her flatbread and pour some broth over it, and I have made a friend for life. From that second on, anyone who insults me gets a spittle storm from Auntie Zhao. She is my mobile artillery. I love her. Mother Shu refuses my food. Loudly. Who'd eat that greasy stuff? She nibbles her fruit candies and glares. Day 1, easy. Day 2, snacks running low. Day 3, she is starving, disheveled, and watching me eat fried fish with the eyes of a woman contemplating crimes. She cracks. I don't want flatbread. I want the other thing. So I go full innocent. Oh, Mom, you weren't eating. So Wei and I forced it all down. Sorry, only flatbread left. Meanwhile, the good stuff is buried at the bottom of my luggage. On purpose. I'm petty and I'm thorough. She slams the flatbread down in front of me. Bold move. Su-wei picks it right back up. Since you don't like it, Mom, I'll have it. Eats the whole thing in 3 bites. Deadpan. My husband, ladies. He weaponizes obedience. That's the pattern I clock fast. As long as the man guards his wife, the wicked mother-in-law is just weather. Loud weather. No lightning. Bus next. 35 seats, 50+ people, and enough armpit to end a war. Mother Shu gets a burly stranger's underarm parked right at her nose. She gags. She demands I sit on Su-wei's lap to free up room. Reader, I sat on the lap. His whole leg goes stiff. Warm, firm, extremely well constructed. The bus hits a pothole. I bump his chest. He yelps a little, and then one big hand slides around my waist to hold me steady. So you don't sway. Right. Anti-sway technology. Very medical. 2 heads pointing opposite directions the whole ride, both of us pretending our ears aren't on fire. Best road trip of my life. Then the road stops being funny. We roll into some scorched county in the far northwest, and there's an ox cart racing off to the clinic. On it, a middle-aged man, gray-faced, sweating, gasping. The old driver waves us off. Heat stroke, gotta rush him. My spine goes cold. Because I know this man. This is the plot. In the book, the original owner played doctor, called it heat stroke, did the pinch and bloodlet routine, and let the guy die of a heart attack before the clinic. Result? She became the village's cop killer of good cadres, hated by everyone. Lost the medic post she was supposed to get. My darling cousin arranged that on purpose. She wrote a doomed man onto my doorstep so I'd get blamed for the corpse. Not this time. I look at him, pale, drenched, fighting for air. That's not heat stroke, that's a heart attack. Move him and he dies. Shu-wei pulls me back, worried I'll be the crazy new girl who kills a cadre. Fair read, honestly. In the book, the male lead warned her too, and she steamrolled him. But I'm not her. Trust me, I say. I've got this. Out come the silver needles, pre-soaked in my good spring water. I go acupoint by acupoint, fast, whispering the map to myself, needles going in like I'm flinging them. In seconds, he's bristling like a pincushion, and the whole crowd is dead silent. Then I feed him a mouthful of enhanced spring water. 10 seconds. His eyes open. The driver nearly falls over. He's awake! Secretary Shu's awake! Turns out my dying stranger is Secretary Shu, the regiment's boss. A workaholic who, the instant he can breathe, tries to go back to digging canals. Sir, you just flatlined. Sit down. I drag him to the clinic anyway. The county doctor reads his numbers and his eyes bug out. Cardiac enzymes off the chart. He nearly died 4 times. If that woman hadn't needled him, the ox cart alone would have killed him. And ding, my cube chimes. Merit power plus 100. Extra charge for my 10 times power. Apparently, saving lives levels me up. Best side hustle in history. Secretary Shu puts it together fast. The new girl saved him, and he suspected her motives for 2 whole minutes and feels terrible about it. So he pays it back the way powerful men do. He gives orders. Move the Sue family into a new brick house. And that empty medic post? Give it to little comrade Sue. Now understand what a brick house means here. There are 4. Tile roof, glass window, real floor, actual walls that don't audition to collapse. They're the luxury penthouses of the educated youth slum, and everyone's been circling them like sharks. So when we roll in, the team captain Gao Yun tries to dump us in the worst mud shack in the corner. Cracked walls, no window, a house that bends to enter. Mother Shu wails that it's unfit for humans, and honestly, she's right, which is annoying. Shu Wei doesn't wail. He stands up straight, sweeps the sneering crowd with one calm look, and gives a speech. Perfectly polite. We'll accept reform, we're not afraid of hardship, but that wall could kill someone. So he'll build a brick house himself, on his own time, on his own coin. Please supervise him. He even turns to me and quietly apologizes that I'll rough it a few days. I look at this man solving a housing crisis with a cane in one hand, and something in my chest goes stupid. And then, plot twist, we don't even need the shack. Cadre Chin comes pedaling up, sweat flying, yelling that there's been a mistake. Secretary Shu said the brick house goes to the doctor who saved his life. The crowd's jaws hit the dirt. The mud shack sneerers do a full 180. Oh, if she saved Secretary Shu, of course she should have the brick house. Spineless. Predictable. I love watching it. Whose brick house did I just inherit, though? A guy named Wang Fu Chiang. Never shows up, never works, lives at his powerful uncle's place in the county, sits on the housing while doing nothing. His slot got canceled. File that name. It comes back with a grudge and a generator, and it's going to be a problem. New house. 15 square meters of clean, tiled heaven. Shu Wei has it scrubbed, curtained, and papered before I can blink. Puts up a partition so Mother Shu sleeps on the far side of the curtain. So it's more convenient for us, he says, then instantly panics that I'll think he means that. Very convenient, I agree, straight-faced. Convenient for touching his pectorals, mostly. A girl has goals. Now the food problem. The communal pot serves gray corn mush and boiled cabbage, and I have a space stuffed with braised pork. No way I'm eating sadness porridge. So I go tell Gao Yun we'll cook separately. She starts a speech about collective spirit, and I cut it off with a whisper. My mother-in-law has an, embarrassing contagious condition. Nothing serious, but if they don't mind us at the shared pot... Gao Yun nearly sprains her hand waving us off. Cook separately, special case. The whole crowd backs up 3 steps. Mother Shu does actually have athlete's foot, so technically I didn't even lie. I just let the wicked mother-in-law carry the bad rep. She hates the communal food anyway. Everybody wins. Mostly me. Then I go public with the cloth. 1 bolt of thick work denim, quietly multiplied by 10 in my space overnight. No ration coupons needed, which out here is basically magic. I trade it for white rice, fine flour, eggs, smoked meat, a whole cellar of vegetables. Gao Yun gets wedding fabric she'd been panicking about. Auntie Zhang's family loads me up like I'm royalty. Suddenly, we're the richest family in the slum, and nobody can prove witchcraft. Even better, now I have a cover story. When braised pork appears from my space, it's just the food I traded cloth for. Cheat laundering. Chef's kiss. Jiao Mei chews her cornbread and dies inside. She thought we'd all suffer together. Instead, I'm eating fried fish with a view. Solidarity, girl. Look it up. I even put the wicked mother-in-law to work. Cadre Chin hands her the easiest job in the regiment. Warehouse registration. 6 work points a day. In the book, she lazed indoors while Shu Wei worked 2 jobs to cover her. Not on my watch. A bored, wicked mother-in-law is a dangerous one. A tired one just wants to nap. She quits by lunchtime, sobbing. Kids threw rocks and called her a capitalist. Shu Wei doesn't lecture. He just says, "Come with me," walks her out to get justice, and comes back with her smiling and suddenly fine with the job. My husband settles disputes like a glacier. Slow, quiet, unstoppable. Meanwhile, far away, my dear cousin is learning that stealing my life didn't come with the manual. Chen Mei wrote this whole book. She wrote Wang Jianguo as a fat, greedy pushover she could rob and dump. Except her space blood oath failed, her cheats gone, and now Wang Jianguo is a real man made of money and menace. She can't loot his secret basement by thinking about it anymore. The iron door won't budge. Turns out doors are load-bearing when you're not the protagonist. Then her own family shows up. Not to save her. To tie her up, gag her, and hand-deliver her to the man she just attacked, so nobody loses a job. She screams about the gold behind the door. They don't care. A married daughter is spilled water, they say, and they leave her in his ward with the door clicking shut. She's still sure Su Wei will come rescue her, her upright, faithful male lead. Somewhere in a scorched village, her upright, faithful male lead is building me a cabinet and has forgotten she exists. A belt snaps in that hospital room. I'll leave the rest off screen. Back home, the real test lands. Diarrhea. In the book, a gut plague sweeps the whole village, floods everyone with fever, and the drought harvest fails because nobody can stand up. People starve that winter. And it starts now, day 2, with Auntie Zhao collapsing in the work point line in a truly unforgettable way. I mask up and go doctor mode. This is a contagious intestinal infection, I announce. Wash your hands, drink the preventative brew, isolate if you're sick. Half the crowd argues, it's just a little diarrhea, everyone gets it. Cadre Chin, bless him, remembers I raised his boss from the dead and backs me with the magic words. Cooperate or lose all your work points. That shuts them up, except Sister Zhao. The sour scorekeeper who spent all day sneering that my medic job was too easy. She refuses the brew out of spite. I'm not drinking that garbage, watch. We watched. Next afternoon, mid-work point line, Sister Zhao feels a rumble and swears on her life. It's just a fart. It was not just a fart. Public, catastrophic, exactly where she humiliated Auntie Zhao the day before. The universe keeps receipts. Turns out people skipped quarantine to keep earning points, so the thing spread anyway. Poverty makes people gamble their guts for a day's wage. Not funny, actually. But Sister Zhao specifically? A little funny. So I hunt the source. Book never named it, just said it vanished after a month. What spreads to a whole village and then dries up? Water. The drought killed the canal, so everyone's drinking from one half-dead well at the west end. I go to climb down. A hand catches my wrist. Su Wei sprinted the whole way the second he heard there was trouble at headquarters, sweat on his brow, already peeling off his shirt. Let me. You guide me. Eloquent and shredded. Rude, honestly. He drops into the well and hauls up a bucket of pure nightmare. Rotting bat carcasses. A living carpet of water worms. The whole village has been drinking corpse soup for a week. There's your outbreak, I say, pointing at the horror. Then comes the panic. Canals dry, wells poisoned, what do we drink now? And I, a woman with a lake's worth of Spirit Spring in her pocket, put on my most serious face. Good news. I studied a little hydrogeology. We'll drill a new well, right here. Do I know how to find groundwater? Absolutely not. Do I have a cheat spring the size of a lake? Absolutely yes. So I rattle off enough technical nonsense to sound like a genius, and I point at one very specific patch of dirt. And that's where I tell them to dig. So I picked the well spot myself, right behind the house. One wall away from my bed, so I could dump Spirit Spring water into it at midnight like a raccoon doing crimes. Central-ish village location, next to the dying wheat fields. Perfect crime scene, basically. Nobody needs to know the water's cheat code water. I just need everyone to know I found it. There's a difference. Anonymous good deeds are for suckers. I want the parade. Cadre Qin Hui wasn't sold. Digging a deep well eats manpower, he said. Dozens of laborers, 3 shifts, no guarantee. Just haul water from upstream instead. I told him, trust me, there's a lot of water down there. Cue Sister Zhao, freshly unquarantined, strutting in like she owns the plot twist. Her cousin works the county water bureau, apparently. Water scarce zone, she announced. A well here gets you a few hundred liters tops. Not enough to drink, definitely not enough to irrigate. She said I just wanted a private well for myself and was scamming the village into digging it. The crowd chewed on that for exactly 4 seconds before flipping. Dr. Seuss saved my whole family yesterday, someone yelled. Loyalty, achievement unlocked. Su Wei stepped up, grabbed my hand, voice like a tank rolling over gravel. He trusted me. He'd dig it himself if the group wouldn't. But if we found water, it was ours only from now on. That threat landed harder than Sister Zhao's science lecture. Nobody wants to lose canal access to spite. Qin Jianhui folded, ordered the dig, then turned and benched Sister Zhao from registration duty for skipping quarantine. Rude. Deserved. She panicked, offered to borrow her cousin's percussion drill to make amends. Liu let her keep her job if she delivered the rig. Then he told me not to gloat. I didn't need to gloat. I made it worse. I offered Sister Zhao a bet. If the well fails, I hand over half a year's grain to the diggers, half to her. If it works, she owes me 3 months of grain come autumn. Greed did the arithmetic for her instantly. She agreed, added conditions like a lawyer negotiating a hostage release, then sprinted off to fetch the drill, feeling like she'd already won. 15 laborers, 3 shifts, 12 bonus work points a day. The crowd nearly rioted trying to volunteer. Digging. Officially a career now. While Su Wei ran drill logistics, Qin Jianhui and I went to run village-wide diarrhea screening on the threshing floor. Whole village showed up, minus the truly bedridden. I had a big pot of medicinal soup, mostly plain spirit spring plus herbs, saved the good enhanced batch for emergencies. Bowl by bowl, quick pulse check, done. Faster than actual Chinese medicine. People whispered I was too fast to be legit. Auntie Zhao, unprompted, defended my honor like a hype squad of one. I'd saved Secretary Su from death's door with a few needles, she reminded everyone. The old grandmother next to her, Grandma He, muttered that Secretary Su probably just had heat stroke. Reality check arrived fast. I caught a strapping 6-foot laborer mid-lie about his bowel situation. Cadre Qin hauled him off to quarantine while he mumbled about just a little loose today. Several more fakers got caught the same way. Doubt flipped straight to awe. Then Wang Ling, pregnant, showed up with her mother and her mother-in-law, Grandma He again, who insisted pregnancy was no excuse to slow down. Wang Ling ignored her and told me the truth. Tight, bloated stomach, discomfort. I checked her. Baby was breech, cord wrapped, mild oxygen restriction. Small baby though, which actually helped odds for natural birth. I gave her the knee-chest position homework, told her no heavy lifting, baby due next week roughly. Then slipped extra spirit spring into her bowl on the sly. Grandma He tried one last dig, calling the whole diagnosis a hoax. I didn't even look up. Told her not to come crying to my clinic later. She had nothing. Livestock got medicated too, because a sick chicken economy is still an economy. I'd smuggled in a mountain of oxytetracycline, so any animal illness dies in 1 dose. Congratulations, I'm also a vet now. Inventory came back grim. 200+ villagers infected. Qin Jianhui's face went the color of ash. Lucky the headquarters warehouse was big enough to quarantine everyone on straw mats. 1 more day, and this would have been a full village collapse, he said. I just smiled. In the original story, tomorrow was the mass outbreak. Not on my watch. I went home to make dinner. Qin Jianhui biked off to the county hospital to unload his stress on Secretary Shu, who was dealing with his own disaster. Turns out the regiment's diesel generator got reassigned to the 61st Regiment by a guy named Wang Fuqiang's uncle. Autumn harvest with no threshing machine sounded like 14-hour days of pure suffering. Qin Jianhui would have kissed a stranger's boots for a spare generator. Speaking of Wang Fuqiang, I got home and found a stranger peeking through my window like a raccoon in a trench coat. Turned out to be the man himself, original room owner apparently, back from a month vacationing at his uncle's in the county. He looked me up and down with a very specific kind of gross, said the house was mine only temporarily, and that if I was really nice about it, we could discuss me staying. Gross. In the source material, this guy seduces the original wife with city privileges while she rots in a drafty hut. Scumbag lore confirmed. He reached to touch my face. I stepped back before contact, listed our housing rights clean and clinical. Organization allocated it, organization can reallocate it. He doesn't get a vote. He just found my temper attractive, obviously. Educated youths spilled out for dinner and clocked him immediately. Said he'd been ghosting the village for a month at his uncle's place. He smiled at everyone but stared at me the whole time. Gao Yun, team leader, came out swinging, no patience for him. Told him he hadn't worked a single day in this village and should give up the quota for good. He retaliated instantly. Announced the diesel generator quota for our regiment got cancelled, reassigned by his uncle to the 61st Regiment. Everyone panicked on cue. Threshing wheat by hand is nobody's idea of fun. Gao Yun accused him of using the generator as blackmail. He shrugged and said, "Give me back my big house." Problem solved. Suddenly the entire crowd was giving me real estate advice. Give up the house, they said, for the greater good. One person suggested Gao Yun also give up hers, so everyone could shuffle houses like musical chairs. I was 2 seconds from demonstrating a very physical form of persuasion I'd picked up in my old life when a wall of a man stepped in front of me. Sue, full protective mode, told Wang Fuqiang coldly that the house was properly allocated and staying that way. Told him to back off from his wife. Objectively, when an ugly bully says, "Stay away from my wife," it's creepy. When a tall, handsome ex-military man says it, apparently it's a religious experience. My eyes actually sparkled. I switched instantly into fragile flower mode, gripped his arm, voice trembling, told him everyone was bullying me. He melted, pulled me tighter behind him, told the crowd anyone touching me answers to him first. Wang Fuqiang, jealous and cowardly, backed off with a threat about his uncle controlling every scarce resource in the county, then fled looking less like a villain and more like someone late for a bus. Villagers immediately started begging Sue to just give up a housing quota for the harvest's sake. He refused, said he'd handle the generator himself, somehow. Once the crowd cleared, he asked if I'd actually been scared. I dropped the act instantly, said no, I had a plan. The plan being, I can get diesel generators, several in fact. Sue's eyebrows went up. I told him I just needed to see the model in person first, to check if my friend had a matching one. He didn't push for details, chose to trust me blind. Respect. Dinner. Fried rice, cured beef, pickled cabbage, a criminal amount of luncheon meat, plus black market mushroom soup that tasted suspiciously like a 5-star restaurant. He asked whether we should partition the room with wood, fast but flimsy, or wait for bricks, slower but soundproof. I told him bricks, obviously, and dropped a not subtle hint about wanting privacy for doing things. He went bright red immediately, practically combusting. Then Mother Sue burst through the curtain mid-blush, accusing me of seducing her son behind her back. I switched to innocent wife voice, said discussing family matters with my own husband is just normal marriage stuff. She sputtered, argued the small partition would shrink her space, demanded a flimsy wood board instead. I let her win that round on the surface, told Sue to be considerate of his aging mother, then privately thought, "Fine, old woman, you'll be begging for bricks in 2 days." That night, I told Sue it was acupuncture time. His pulse was basically fine by then, but touching those abs is a public service to myself. He panicked about his mother hearing. I told him married couples doing normal things is nobody's business, quoting his own mother's earlier words back at her through the wall. The treatment got loud. Mother Shu sat bolt upright, convinced she was hearing something scandalous, yelled through the curtain to keep it down. I answered sweetly that Wei just couldn't help himself, very normal, very married. She lay back down, horrified and unable to argue. Shu Wei barely slept, tortured by mysterious new physical sensations he refused to name out loud. Poetic justice. The next morning he made breakfast like nothing happened, went off to dig, no comment. The well kept grinding along, 10 meters deep, bone dry, drill running hot in shifts. Next morning, I raided my space for a cured meat upgrade. 10 pork legs from one 10-fold return. Meanwhile, Mother Shu looked like she'd aged a decade overnight, panda eyes and everything. She begged Shu Wei to hurry the brick wall, promised zero interference at night if he'd just soundproof the place. 2 nights broke her completely. I bit my lips so hard trying not to laugh. Then, the real crisis hit. Canal completely dried up. Qin Jianhui called a village meeting, announced most of the wheat couldn't be saved, only a third at best. Panic. People begged to fetch water from 20 kilometers out, a round trip that eats a whole day for a bucket's worth. That night, dig continued, still nothing but dry, hard soil. I asked Shu Wei about treatment again, half expecting exhaustion to win. He said yes anyway. Man's stamina defies logic. Next morning, Sister Zhao's cousin Wang Dashan showed up in person, professional well driller, took one look at the dry pit and declared the location a lost cause. Water-scarce soil, he said, no chance. Sister Zhao gloated immediately, demanded her cousin get his drill back, then turned to collect her bet from me on the spot. I asked for half an hour. If nothing by then, I forfeit everything. Full stop. Drill returned immediately. Wang Dashan agreed, mostly out of pity for the girl about to lose her shirt. Then Wang Fuqiang reappeared, offering his uncle's water tankers. 5 tons a truck, several trips, enough to save real acreage. Crowd instantly worshipped him. His actual price? Give him back his house, backdate a year of missing work points. An old veteran slapped down anyone agreeing, reminded them I'd cured half the village's diarrhea days ago. Pressure bounced to Gao Yun next, since she also had a house. Wang Fuqiang refused any compromise except a personal grovel apology from me. Then the well erupted. Water, gushing, unstoppable, from a crack in the wall. The pit filled fast. Sister Zhao's face did several colors in a row. Wang Dashan jumped in himself to guide the flow, called it the strongest spring output he'd seen in a decade of professional digging. He apologized to me directly, took my thank you cigarettes, and threw in a spare diesel water pump as a bonus. Obviously, the miracle was me quietly swapping hundreds of cubic meters of dirt for spirit spring water while everyone argued. Nobody needs to know that part. Cheering erupted village-wide. "We won't give up a single field," people chanted. Wang Fuqiang's face went the color of a burnt pot. He tried one last bluff about the well running dry eventually. Nobody listened. Qin Jianhui publicly thanked me, promised a formal commendation. Zhao Mei, one of the female educated youths, comforted the humiliated Wang Fuqiang on his way out, batting eyelashes, already angling for a city upgrade. Two scumbags found each other. Efficient. Sister Zhao tried to slink off without paying. I blocked her path, reminded her of the bet. Qin Jianhui backed me publicly, said a bet's a bet. She slunk away in shame. I privately told Qin Jianhui I wouldn't actually collect the grain, just wanted her humbled. He said give it anyway, teach her a real lesson. I plan to redirect the grain to the quarantine folks later. Reputation? Stacked. Days of hauling water saved every field. The well never dropped, no matter how much got pumped. Villagers called it a miracle. I called it Tuesday. That night my magic cube flashed gold letters. Power of merit. Plus 100. Reward 1 cubic meter of enhanced spirit spring. Turns out saving lives pays cheat code dividends too. Noted. Do more good deeds. Apparently a viable business model. Xu Wei finished the brick partition in a single day, working solo while everyone else hauled water. Proper wall, proper door, real soundproofing. I toured the new bedroom like a realtor, delighted. He tried to look unbothered, failed completely, tiny proud smile and everything. That night's treatment hit different. He grabbed my wrist mid-session, said something down there felt hot, uncontrollable. I panicked, declared treatment officially over, rolled away blushing furiously. He noticed, filed it away as extremely cute. Turns out the original plot needed 2 months to cure him. We did it in days. I might have overshot the kidney-warming acupoint slightly. Oops. Also, secretly, not that sorry. Next morning he'd been up half the night lifting rocks for stress relief, unsubtly. I played dumb. He let me. Then the actual field trip. He arranged, through an old army buddy, a visit to the 61st Regiment to check out their generator, plus a black market-style mobile supply co-op. I rode the bike behind him, hands wrapped around his waist, admiring certain abdominal architecture the entire ride, oblivious to how much this wrecked his concentration. At the warehouse, his buddy, platoon leader Shu, stepped out to chat, giving me privacy. 1 touch, 1 tenfold return, and the single generator became 10, kept 9, sent 1 home, planned to resell the rest quietly for supplies later. Wang Fuqiang's whole blackmail plan, dead on arrival. At the market, pork cue, glutinous rice candy, salt, soy sauce, brown sugar, vegetable seeds for a future kitchen garden. Xu Wei promised to handle all the farming, despite privately having zero idea how, a fact he intended to solve by interrogating the nearest old farmer the second we got home. Back at the village, Zhao Mei seethed with envy watching us return loaded with pork. She loudly implied I was hoarding meat selfishly. I overheard, publicly offered to share a full pot of braised pork with the whole educated youth dorm instead, making her look petty in front of everyone. Gao Yun demanded she apologize. Zhao Mei stormed off toward Wang Fuqiang instead, openly declaring herself his woman now. Bold strategy. Dinner was a hit. Mother Shu complained about grease while inhaling 3 bowls. Xu Wei ate like a man reborn. Later I ran an experiment. Turned 100 jin of pork into 1,000 jin via tenfold return, then baked buns from the surplus, then folded the finished buns back through the cube anyway, just to see. Somehow it worked twice. 100 buns became 1,100. I may have discovered an actual exploit in the space mechanics. Genuinely thrilling. Free infinite pork buns, forever. Meanwhile, the whole village kept obsessing over the well, convinced it never ran dry no matter how much got pumped, and that wheat watered with it grew unusually plump. Correct, obviously, it's basically magic tap water. Once irrigation wrapped, Secretary Shu, freshly discharged, called a full regiment assembly. Publicly awarded me Advanced Individual and Production Corps Construction, plus honorary health instructor with actual perks attached. I found out mid-meeting, wearing clothes with actual holes in embarrassing places, completely unprepared for a ceremony. Mortifying. Xu Wei found it adorable, coughing to hide a smile. Secretary Sue then pivoted, told the crowd the diesel generator was gone for now, asked if they'd rather starve or hand-thresh grain. Everyone chose hand-threshing without hesitation. Morale? Weaponized. Afterward, I invited Secretary Sue to lunch, fed him fried egg noodle soup until he forgot his manners, then laid out the whole Wang Fu Chiang situation. Generator sabotage, housing extortion, the works. Secretary Sue slammed the table, furious, already planning to bury Wang Fu Chiang's file politically for good. Then I revealed the actual bomb. My mysterious friend could supply 7 or 8 diesel generators, gold and silver only, no ration coupons. Secretary Sue nearly levitated out of his chair. He guessed correctly that I must have saved someone's life to earn that kind of favor, and let it go at that, smart enough not to push further. He promised delivery logistics stay quiet for now, then, practically vibrating with excitement, revealed one more thing. An official oyster mushroom cultivation contract was up for grabs. 1 slot for the entire region, guaranteed government purchase, 0 sales risk. A legal monopoly, basically, dropped in our laps. My eyes lit up so fast I probably looked unhinged. Competition for that slot across a dozen regiments had been brutal for months. But now, apparently, our odds just changed. Let me back up on the merit reveal for a second, because it deserves its own spotlight. That golden text in my head wasn't decoration. Power of merit, it called it, like the space itself was running a loyalty program. Contain an outbreak? Get rewarded. Dig a village out of drought? Get rewarded. It's basically a government job with better dental. I stood there blinking at the words like a phone notification I didn't ask for. 1 cubic meter of enhanced spirit spring, just sitting there. Free upgrade. No microtransaction required. Best patch note I've ever read. And the bun glitch, I want to be very clear, was an accident that I will absolutely be exploiting on purpose from now on. 1 pound of pork goes in, comes out 10. Bake it into food, throw the food back through the machine, and the multiplier apparently doesn't know the difference between raw meat and finished dinner. Somebody coded this space badly, and I have never been more grateful for a bug in my life. Back to the generator diplomacy, because Secretary Shu's face when I said 7 or 8 was a whole cinematic event. The man aged backward 10 years in real time. He kept repeating the number like it might change if he said it enough. 7 or 8 diesel generators is the kind of thing regiments write letters about for a decade. I just handed him the answer over lunch soup. He wasn't stupid about it either. Old revolutionary instinct kicked in fast. He clocked immediately that nobody hands out favors like that without a life debt attached, and he was polite enough not to make me spell it out. Some people you can work with because they're kind. Some you can work with because they're sharp enough to stop asking questions at exactly the right moment. Secretary Shu is both, which honestly makes him dangerous in the best way. As for Wang Fu Chiang, I'm not going to pretend I feel bad. The man tried to run a housing eviction and a generator blackmail in the same week, using his uncle's signature like a cheat code of his own. Except his cheat code just got outbid by an actual cheat code. Mine. Sucks to suck. Shu Wei, for the record, spent that whole lunch quietly filing away every detail, the good soldier doing paperwork in his head. He didn't say much. He never does when it matters. But I caught him glancing at me twice, with an expression that wasn't pride exactly. More like a man watching his wife casually solve problems the entire regiment had been stuck on for months, and slowly realizing he married a walking cheat sheet. Good. Let him wonder. A woman needs a little mystery, especially one running a black market spring under a well, and an infinite pork bun glitch on the side. The mushroom contract, though, that one's going to be fun. A guaranteed government buyer, 0 sales risk, and every other regiment for 100 miles fighting over table scraps, while I've got a magic cube that duplicates anything at a 10-to-1 ratio. They don't know it yet, but this competition is already over. Secretary Shu doesn't know it either. He just thinks I'm a good comrade with good instincts. Sure, let's go with that. So there I was, trading 9 stolen diesel generators to a forest full of paranoid old men in the middle of the night. Casual Tuesday. I'm Chen Rulan, modern doctor, Rubik's champion, currently cosplaying as a sent-down youth in 1976 with a cube in my head that spits out free loot. My cousin wrote this novel. I hijacked the plot. Sue me. Secretary Shu thought he was getting me some gold and silver. Instead, he walked away with an entire government-endorsed mushroom farm. Oops, my bad. Not really. Comrade Sue, you've confirmed the goods. Lead the way, he said, practically glowing. I glowed back. Modestly. Champion-level modesty. The forest deal went off without a hitch. Old men in patched Zhongshan suits pulled yellow croakers and silver bars out of their coats like it was Halloween. Qin Jianhui guarded 9 tarps like his life depended on it. It kinda did. Secretary Shu used me as a hype man the entire time. "She dug a well! She saved lives! She's our lucky charm!" I stood there looking. Humble. Internally, I was doing a victory lap. Then, the diesel fuel question came up. Everyone's eyes lit up like I'd mentioned free Wi-Fi. I said my friend might be able to help. My friend is a cube. My friend does not miss. By the end of it, Secretary Shu quietly rerouted an entire oyster mushroom contract into my hands. Nobody objected. Nobody dared. I walked away with 300 grams of gold, 2,000 grams of silver, and a farming monopoly. Not bad for one forest walk. Then there's Shu Wei. Tall, silent, terrifyingly efficient. The man filed paperwork with Secretary Shu just to build us a wall. Meticulous doesn't cover it. The completed wall and house will naturally belong to the organization forever, his report said. Comrade, you built us a house and immediately donated it to the state on principle. Incredible bit. While I was off laundering generators, he was laying bricks like a man possessed. By nightfall, the whole camp was gossiping about the mystery construction at our place. Gao Yun decided it was a yard. She was right. She's always suspiciously competent like that. I handed out candy to the educated youth crowd on my way out, said some diplomatic nonsense about sharing the yard later, and everyone melted. Cheap candy buys shocking amounts of goodwill. Filing that away. Zhao Mei, meanwhile, was busy having the worst day of her entire life. Ate too many apricots. Paid for it violently. Ran off to the county town to snitch on me to Wang Fuqiang instead of doing her job. Chen Ruolan was all the rage today, she told him, practically salivating. Then she mentioned the generator shortage like she was dropping a grenade. Wang Fuqiang sprinted off to find his uncle without so much as a goodbye. Poor Zhao Mei. Used and discarded. Story of her life. Uncle Wang Dafu's plan was petty and predictable. Dump a generator on the threshing floor at the worst possible moment, claim the credit, ride the wave straight into a promotion. Classic villain-adjacent NPC behavior. Nothing I hadn't already priced in. He also wanted the mushroom farm slot for his nephew. Too late, buddy. Already claimed. Should have been faster. Wang Fuqiang just shrugged off getting outpaced. Then he thought of Chen Ruolan's hot body. Sir, absolutely not. Next. Back home, old Zhang's ox cart delivered me to a very large, very territorial man standing in the dark. Slow down, Su Wei said, catching my arm like I was made of glass. Secretary Su leaned out the truck window to tease him about being overprotective. Su Wei's response was devastatingly sincere. Comrade Ruolan is my wife, so it's only right that I come to pick her up. Rude. Unfair. Made my whole chest go warm like I'd swallowed a heat pack. He held my hand the entire walk home, demanding a full debrief on whether I'd been bullied. Not once did he ask about the gold, just whether I was safe. This man's priorities are a whole personality. We got home. Hot water waiting, new pajamas. He pulled me into his arms, pressed one restrained kiss to my forehead, and told me to sleep because there'd be no treatment tonight. Translation? Acupuncture. His illness is basically cured at this point. We both know it. Neither of us has said it out loud yet. I fell asleep planning increasingly unhinged ways to bring up the topic. Comrade Su Wei, you're cured. Want to test it out? Absolutely not. I am a professional. A professional with terrible impulse control, apparently. Morning came with a rude awakening. Literally. Something was poking me. Su Wei's ears went pink the second he clocked what I meant. He leaned in close, all smoldering intent, and asked, dead serious, "What is it?" I opened my mouth to answer. Bang, bang, bang. Someone was murdering our door. The mood evaporated instantly. Su Wei yanked his shirt on and went to deal with it, visibly annoyed at the universe's timing. He came back grim. It's Auntie Zhao. Her daughter Wang Ling is about to give birth. It doesn't look good. That killed the romance dead. I was already grabbing clothes. Isn't she still a few days from her due date? Didn't matter. Babies don't read calendars. Su Wei heated pancakes and eggs for the road without being asked. Mother Su, woken up grumpy, tossed us 2 ginseng slices with the enthusiasm of someone donating a kidney under protest. Childbirth's like going through the gates of hell, she said. Whether she lives depends on her own fate. Cheerful, very supportive. I soaked the ginseng in spirit spring water on my way out the door, because apparently my herbal supply chain runs through a pocket dimension now. Auntie Zhao was outside, eyes swollen, looking like she'd aged 10 years overnight. I got the story walking. Wang Ling had gone into labor, and instead of resting, she'd been guilted into feeding pigs and chickens, because 8 work points a day is apparently worth more than a human life to Grandma He. They kept pushing Ling to go feed the pigs and chickens, saying the work was easy, Auntie Zhao spat. Water broke last night. Nobody called me. Grandma He, self-appointed midwife extraordinaire, decided pain was normal and doctors were an insult to her expertise. If she says her daughter-in-law has to go to the doctor when she gives birth, where does she put her face? That's the actual logic. Pride over a life. I stuffed a pancake in my mouth, handed Auntie Zhao 2 more, and we half-jogged the rest of the way. No time for outrage. Outrage doesn't deliver babies. We hit the He family door and ran straight into He Kai, the husband, wringing his hands like a man about to disappoint everyone equally. Didn't my mom say not to call a doctor? If the neighbors see this, they'll laugh at her delivery skills. Auntie Zhao slapped him without breaking stride. Your wife is about to die, and you're worried about your mother's reputation? Inside, it got worse. Grandma He was standing over her dying daughter-in-law, screaming at her to push harder. What woman doesn't give birth? Are you the only one who's precious? Wang Ling's face was gray. She could barely speak. Mom, I have no strength left. I'm dying. What good is a doctor? Can she give birth for you? Grandma He snapped right as we walked in. Auntie Zhao went full mother lion and physically shoved her out of the way. I checked the pulse. Cold, thready, racing. Bent down for the exam. Cervix undilated. Fetal heartbeat weak and fast. This baby was suffocating in real time. The child is lacking oxygen. The situation is very dangerous. Grandma He scoffed like I'd insulted her cooking. She's only been in labor a day and already oxygen deprived? Nonsense. I didn't argue with a woman who thinks obstetrics is folklore. I just told Auntie Zhao to clear the room. Grandma He screamed about it being her Kong, her house, her rules, right up until Auntie Zhao physically dragged her out the door mid-sentence. I fed Wang Ling a few sips of Spirit Spring and slid a ginseng slice under her tongue. Color came back into her face almost instantly. Here's the part where things got genuinely serious. No jokes. The baby was breech, buttocks down, and a natural delivery in that position could kill them both. I told her plainly, forcing it was too dangerous. I would not recommend it. Auntie Zhao's legs gave out. She hit the floor. Breech presentation? Oh my God, what am I going to do? Grandma He, of course, burst back in the second she heard the word breech. I told you, she's just unlucky. Whose fault is it she can't give birth? Her own bad luck. I ignored her completely and explained the alternative. A cesarean. Small incision, baby out, stitch it up. I had the instruments. I had the anesthetic. This was routine for me. Auntie Zhao recoiled like I'd suggested arson. Cut open her stomach? Then won't she die? Doctor, can you save her? We can give up the baby. Grandma He's priorities went the exact opposite direction. Instantly. Save my grandson first. Get the baby out. Shuer's beyond saving anyway. Then He Kai shuffled in, rubbing his hands, and delivered the single most spineless sentence I've heard in 2 timelines. Is there any way to save my wife? We can take the baby out first, but please, try your best to save my wife as well. Is this even human language? I wanted to deck him on principle. Save the baby first, and maybe, if it's convenient, save my wife too. Disgusting. Filed under, reasons Wang Ling needs a divorce lawyer, not a husband. Wang Ling's eyes went dim hearing it. Fine, let's get the baby out first, she said, already resigned to being an afterthought in her own delivery room. I wasn't having it. Cesarean technology is mature. It's routine where I trained. Both of you can survive. I'll do my best to guarantee it. That flipped a switch in her. Hope, actual hope, lighting up a dying woman's face. Dr. Su, please save me, and the baby. I'm not afraid of pain. Auntie Zhao scrambled up. Yes, save them both. Now for the fun part. I pulled out paper and pen and wrote a consent form. Any surgery carries risk. Family members need to sign. Who can sign this? Grandma He bailed instantly, calculating compensation money in real time. Sign? You wish. If you kill my daughter-in-law, you'll pay for it. I won't sign. My son won't either. I handed the pen straight to He Kai. You're her husband. Sign here. If you don't, the surgery can't proceed. He held the pen, looked at his mother, looked at his dying wife, chose his mother. I'll listen to my mom. I won't sign either. Shuer, don't blame me. If something happens and I'm the one who signed, I'll feel terrible. You don't want me sad, right? Wang Ling looked at the man she married like she was seeing a stranger for the first time. In a way, she was. Auntie Zhao went nuclear. Are you even human? A doctor is finally willing to save her and you can't sign a form? You just want to watch her die? Grandma He grabbed her son and started backing toward the door. I never called the doctor. I never ordered surgery. Don't blame me if anything goes wrong. So I turned around and handed the pen to the one person whose name actually belonged on it. Comrade Wang Ling, your life should be in your own hands. You sign this. She stared at me like I'd spoken a foreign language. I can sign it myself? Of course. You have the right to decide your own life. Some women can't even get their own husbands to co-sign an epidural request. This family wouldn't even sign to save her from bleeding out. I've seen a lot of garbage in this era. This ranked high. Okay, I'll sign. Dr. Su, let's begin. I trust you. She wrote her own name, crooked and shaking, and it was the strongest thing anyone in that room had done all morning. I cleared the room properly this time. Auntie Zhao blocked the door with her whole body like a bouncer. Grandma He yelled through the wood on her way out. Protect the boy first! If anything happens to my grandson, I'll make sure you can't stay in the 65th Regiment. Cute threat, noted. Filed under things that will not be happening. I disinfected, numbed the site, and got to work. Debridement, incision, muscle separation, into the abdominal cavity. Clean and fast. This is what I trained for, in another life, in another world. And it turns out the body remembers even when the century doesn't match. Wang Ling felt tugging, nothing more, a mercy compared to what she'd already survived. Then the pressure lifted all at once. A cry split the room. Congratulations, Comrade Ling. It's a healthy baby girl. Auntie Zhao had her eyes covered the entire time, nearly sick at the sight of an open abdomen. Wang Ling looked at the crumpled little bundle by her pillow and felt something in her chest crack open in the good way. If I don't die this time, she whispered, I will never live like I did before. I finished the stitching, hooked up the IV, and delivered the good news. Surgery successful. Both mother and daughter are safe. I'll be back in 7 days to remove the stitches. Auntie Zhao nearly hit the floor, bowing to me. Dr. Su, you saved the lives of all 3 of us. I got the baby latched, gave the standard postpartum lecture, and thought that was the end of the drama. It was not. Grandma He and He Kai burst in the second they heard crying, and Grandma He scooped up the baby, beaming like she'd won the lottery. Then she checked under the swaddling. The smile died on the spot. Humph. After all that effort, all you got was a worthless little girl. She put the baby back down like it had personally offended her. Our family isn't the kind that drowns baby girls in a chamber pot, she added, as if that were generous. Raise her, and give the Zhao family a proper boy next year. He Kai picked his daughter up with something almost like affection, which somehow made it worse. It's okay you didn't have a son. I like this girl too. Said like tolerating his own child was a gift he was bestowing. That's when I dropped the medical reality on them. A cesarean scar needs at minimum 3 years before another pregnancy. Otherwise, the uterus can rupture. That's a life-threatening risk. Auntie Zhao latched onto it instantly. Xuer, you heard the doctor. We wait years before more children. Grandma He erupted. She's my daughter-in-law. She can have a baby whenever she wants. You don't control a couple's bed. If my son wants to be intimate with his wife, am I supposed to make him hold back? Her actual argument was that the neighbors would laugh at her son for not having a second son fast enough. Family legacy over an actual human uterus. Bold strategy. So you're happy we're not cutting your stomach open, I said flatly. It doesn't hurt you. Of course you're thrilled. Then I turned to He Kai. Does your family have a throne that needs an heir? Is your wife's life worth less than a son? What do you say, Comrade Zhao? Wait a few years, or not? He scratched his head, looking troubled, and delivered the same tired line. What you all say makes sense. I'll just listen to my mom. The baby started crying in his arms right on cue, like even the newborn had opinions about this man. Wang Ling snatched her daughter back, face gone flat and cold in a way I'd never seen on her. I'll listen to Dr. Su. No more children for years. You don't care about my life. I do. Grandma He exploded. You've gone too far, you barren hen. Since when are you the boss of this house? If you won't have a baby, go back to your parents. Divorce. Divorce was social death in this era, and everyone in the room knew it. Auntie Zhao went pale watching her daughter's whole future get threatened over a scheduling dispute. Wang Ling looked her mother-in-law dead in the eye. Then let's get a divorce. She meant it. You could see it. 2 years ago, she married this man to escape a mud hut, and now she was ready to walk right back into one rather than keep living like this. He Kai panicked instantly. No divorce. Wife, let's not have the baby for now. We'll talk later. She turned her face away and said nothing else. Not because she'd forgiven him, because she'd stopped expecting anything from him at all. Something was waking up in that woman. I could feel it. A seed of backbone, finally sprouting where there hadn't been one before. I left half a can of malted milk powder, told her not to eat until she'd passed gas, and got out before my blood pressure did something regrettable. Seriously, if breast nodules were caused by suppressed rage, I'd have grown a whole second pair by lunch. When I got home, my mood flipped instantly. Our courtyard was finished. A proper wall, taller than me, topped with broken glass for security. A little kitchen with 2 stoves. And Sue Wei, mid-installation on a backyard toilet, engineering me an actual flush system out of a scavenged iron bucket and lever mechanics because he remembered, unprompted, that I hate dry toilets. "You're back?" He clocked my face instantly, read the whole ugly morning off it without me saying a word. I washed the blood off my hands at the well and told him everything. Breech baby. Emergency cesarean. In-laws who'd rather let her die than sign a form. He just listened. Didn't interrupt once. When I finished venting, he pulled me into his arms and rubbed my back like I was the one who'd almost broken. "Don't worry. Don't be angry. I won't ever treat you like that. In this house, you're in charge. I respect your opinion on everything." All my leftover fury melted on contact. Cat with its fur stroked levels of instant relaxation. Then he gave me the full property tour, practically vibrating with pride. Scallions here, cabbage there, a brick path so it wouldn't turn to mud in the rain. The flush toilet, exactly as requested. A fenced corner for chickens. He was even planning to petition for a goat so Mother Shu and I could have milk. "Take a look and see where we need to improve?" he asked it casual. His whole face was screaming for a gold star. I grabbed his hand, genuinely charmed. "You've thought of everything. In a few days you built the home I've always dreamed of." He tried to play it cool. Failed completely. Lit up like a man who'd just been told his final exam scored perfect. He grabbed a shovel, ready to plant seeds immediately, riding the high. I stopped him just long enough to request hot water for a shower, because I was, quote, covered in blood and sticky and uncomfortable. That softened him instantly. He went to build the fire without complaint. While he fetched water, I snapped my fingers and quietly swapped every inch of garden soil for spirit-fertile soil from my cube. 10 times the growth rate, allegedly. Field test pending. He came back, announced the bath was ready, and went off to plant seeds in dirt he had no idea was now enchanted. I sank into the warm water, let my consciousness drift back into the cube, and thought about everything the day had handed me. A monopoly on mushrooms. A husband who builds toilets out of love. A newborn girl who survived a family that didn't want her. And somewhere in Wang Ling's chest, a very small, very stubborn seed of a woman who was done listening to anyone else's mother. Good day, all things considered. Ask me again tomorrow. Morning starts with Shu Wei back from his run, cooking breakfast like a golden retriever with abs. Eggs, porridge, pickled vegetables, leftover buns. 5 stars for the interior design of this marriage. Mother Shu finishes eating and vanishes toward the post office. No eye-rolling, no insults, just vibes and a mysterious exit. Cool, very cool. That woman is definitely cooking something up. I file it under Future Me's problem and go check on patients. Before I finish rounds, Secretary Shu and Qin Jianhui drag me to headquarters, vibrating with excitement. The oyster mushroom site is officially ours. Document signed, another honor for the regiment, another excuse to make money out in the open instead of laundering it through a magic cube. Bonus round, funds from above. 2 new rows of housing going up near Educated Youth Point. 1 for better living conditions, 1 built specifically as my mushroom lab. Experts arrive this afternoon with strains and gear. Congratulations, Chen Ruolan. You have been voluntold. I straighten my spine like a good revolutionary. For the collective. Classic me. At noon, I make a mountain of chive and egg pancakes, plus dry biscuits for the coming grind. The educated youth practically levitate toward the smell. Somewhere in my head, a tiny voice goes, "Get piglets, get chickens, freeze meat buns, never explain yourself." Noted. At dinner, I warn Sue Wei I'll be swamped for days. He doesn't blink. "Leave the cooking to me," he says, activating his final form. I grab his hand, eyes shining. "I knew you'd be here," I tell him. He gives one dignified, and raises his chin like a general accepting tribute. Internally, I'm doing cartwheels. He mentions Xiao Mao's wedding tonight, but he has errands. "Go," I say, no questions asked. He looks briefly wounded, like normal wives are supposed to interrogate him. Rookie mistake, expecting that from me. Mother Shu, still unnervingly calm, is plotting something. Future Me's problem, part 2. That afternoon, a jeep delivers 2 technicians and one extremely polished young woman with 2 braids and the aura of somebody who has never once weeded a field. "Hello, Uncle Sue," she chirps at Secretary Sue, sweet as poison candy. Turns out, her father reserved her a brick room here months ago. One of my 4 coveted rooms, earmarked for royalty. Cool, cool, cool. This is Xia Jing, reborn heroine of my cousin's actual novel, here to suffer nobly and secretly build an empire. Past life, she stayed in the city and lost everything. This time, family money plus 30 years of future knowledge. She informs Secretary Sue she's here to train and, surprise, take full charge of the mushroom project. Just a coincidence her dad funded it. Secretary Sue's smile freezes like a crashed screen. I stand there like an NPC in someone else's cutscene, watching my reward get intercepted mid-flight. Xia Jing's eyes land on me. "Oh, who's this, my new assistant?" Qin Jianhui jumps in fast, lists my whole highlight reel, the well, the generator trade, the reason this site exists. Organization already decided. Chen Ruolan's in full charge. Her face darkens for half a second. Past life, nobody named Chen Ruolan existed. I'm a bug in her patch notes. She recovers fast, plays the aggrieved professional. "My father funds this. I have a team." Country doctors don't beat science. Then, the compromise pitch, sweet as a knife wrapped in silk. "Let me lead. You be my deputy. I stay quiet. Let Secretary Shu sweat it. His call, and I'll make it worth his while either way." Shu Tai folds like a lawn chair, toward me. "Sorry, Jing," he says. "Already gave the job to Comrade Su. My mistake. You're a step too late. Take the beer factory instead. It's a whole political task." Room goes dead silent. He just chose the girl with 0 connections over a provincial power broker's daughter. Bold. Xia Jing's smile cracks like drywall, pivots to guilt. "My father trusted you. Are you betraying him?" I step in before it goes nuclear. "Let's just compete," I say. Same materials, same timeline. Whoever grows more wins full control. She scoffs. Fine. Behind her stands Guo Xiang, shy assistant researcher, glasses and all, plus a professional incubator and a fancy hygrometer. "You have sawdust and bran," she says. "I have science. Sure you want this?" "I'm sure," I tell her. "Advantage is yours. Confidence is mine. 1 month. If you still lose with all that gear, that says something." "I'll lose? What a joke," she snaps, demands it in writing before I change my mind. They draft the contract on the spot. Guo Xiang explains the whole process. Sawdust ratio, sterilizing, inoculation, fruiting period, a month to harvest. We each get 100 tubes. Comparing cheat codes, are we? I think. Yours is a nice little upgrade. Mine is an entire operating system. Secretary Shu thinks I've lost my mind, sacrificing a sure thing for a gamble against a lab. Little does he know, against a genuine broken mechanic, science is just a fancy paper tiger. Xia Jing has Guo Xiang slip her an extra 50 tubes under the table. 150 sticks, extremely conspicuous according to Guo Xiang, who gets waved off with a lecture about optimizing for evaluation season. I lock myself in my room, look at my modest 100 tubes, and smile like someone who just found a save scum exploit. Golden spirit infusion, 10-fold return. 1,000 identical tubes bloom into existence. 200 go into flasks for a visible mother culture. 500 get quietly planted straight into the fertile soil. Grid, where growth runs 10 times faster than reality. Bonus discovery, I can now self-propagate mycelium forever, no more relying on the academy. Xia Jing, no matter how much lab magic you cheat with, I can just print more. I'll call it traditional method vigor when they ask. Curtain over the visible bacteria. Door locked, off to the wedding. Gao Yun and Xiao Mao married ahead of schedule since harvest wrapped early. Tables outside, candy, sunflower seeds, a new bicycle with a red ribbon as dowry. Gao Yun grabs my arm the second she spots me. Neighbors now, look out for each other. I hand over 2 jars of canned fruit as a gift, and the crowd gasps like I handed her a Tesla. Internally, I'm grieving. 6 real cans went into 10 times return and became 60. I already ate 10 in secret. This is a tragedy of my own making. Xia Jing, whose house sits right between mine and Gao Yun's, steps out with 1 lone can of luncheon meat and drops it like a favor. Small token, can't stay, must unpack. Never expected her neighbor would be me. Small world, big grudge. Dinner's the usual stew and buns, lavish by shortage standards. I eat a little, watch the actually hungry kids inhale their food, and bail early. Home, alone, I raid spatial storage for restaurant leftovers. Braised knuckle, braised belly, spicy chicken, over rice. Devour it like a raccoon in a dumpster of luxury. 2 apples after, cores tossed into the fertile soil grid on the off chance a tree sprouts. My grid doubled to 4 acres after the last upgrade. Scalable. Still never enough once you start hoarding pigs. Bath done, I lie on the kang and eavesdrop through paper walls on the newlyweds. Xiao Mao's had a few drinks and sounds ready to perform. Then, the actual show starts. He makes his big announcement. Gao Yun closes her eyes and waits. Nothing happens. He stalls, blurry-eyed, blames the wine. She asks the real question. Can you even find it? She's been searching for ages and found nothing. All they're doing is flailing. He promises it'll work, just needs a minute. She lends a hand out of desperation. Still nothing. He's basically in tears. My brother's on strike, he confesses. She hisses about Dashan's wife going all night and the whole regiment laughing at her silence. Then Xiao Mao has an idea. Fake it, shout loud, shake the bed. Beat Dashan on volume if not performance. So they perform a wedding night the way you'd perform a fireworks show, with no fireworks. All sound, zero substance. The educated youth outside eat it up, whispering about surprisingly skilled, quiet little Xiao Mao. Meanwhile, Zhao Mei, back from the labor farm for a change of clothes, listens and spirals into despair about composting duty. Madness flickers. She needs Wang Fuqiang. Not my problem tonight. I'm half asleep, marveling at the acoustics, when curiosity wins and I press my ear to the wall. Purely professional interest. Kidney deficiency diagnosis in progress. That's when a large, very warm hand wraps around my waist. I gasp straight into Shu Wei's chest. Freshly showered, hair still dripping, smelling like soap and well water. His eyes catch the dark like something predatory just clocked its prey. You're back, I manage. Just now, he says, voice doing something dangerous. What are you doing in the corner? Busted mid-eavesdrop like a kid caught stealing candy, I mumble something about Gao Yun and Xiao Mao doing something. He'd heard the noise from the backyard too, walked in to find his wife ear-glued to the wall. That image apparently lit something he'd been holding back a while. He pulls me down onto the kang and follows. In the dark, his eyes burn low and steady. Rulan, he says, voice rough. Something's been building in me lately. Restless. Is this the acupuncture finally working? Am I cured? Would you like to try, he asks, unusually direct for a man who treats vulnerability like classified information. He'd been holding back all through harvest out of guilt over how tired I was. Tonight, seeing me lively again, the restraint finally snapped. I nod. Good, I whisper. Right on cue, banging erupts from the other wall, Xia Jing screaming about plaster falling and demolition-level noise ruining her sleep. She's been wound tight since her rebirth, and this is the final straw. Next door, Xiao Mao pauses, then decides louder is better. Wife, keep going. Limp tomorrow for effect. Gao Yun restrains him slightly out of second-hand embarrassment. Shu Wei pauses too, notices my hand clamped over my own mouth, gently pulls it away. Don't cover it, he says. I admit I'm nervous, half excited, half genuinely scared given how casually he lifted a boulder the other day. He kisses my cheek, promises gentleness, tells me not to worry about anyone listening. He kisses me slow, deliberate. Let's take it slow, don't be afraid, he murmurs. And then, per contractual obligation to romance fade to black law, 10,000 words of indescribable wonderful process happen entirely off-page. Xia Jing, exhausted and furious, finally buries her head under the quilt, only for the other side of the wall to start up too. Quieter. Rhythmic. Somehow worse for her blood pressure. She suddenly remembers a cold, striking man glimpsed on a countryside visit, past life memory surfacing. Su Wei, a military big shot from around here. The math assembles itself in her head, and jealousy detonates. Eventually I collapse against Su Wei, wrung out. Spirit spring stamina and all, still no match for him. Undefeated on every front. He kisses my forehead, tells me to sleep. I, being an idiot with a death wish, hook my arm around his neck and ask if he can't take any more. Big mistake. He flips me right back over, eyes burning, asks quite dangerously if it's all right. I retreat immediately, snuggling into full surrender mode. Tired, I say, so tired. He accepts the ceasefire only after I promise a rematch tomorrow. If he had a tail, it would be spinning. Next morning, the whole point is running on zero sleep. Gao Yun and Xiao Mao both have raccoon eyes. Xia Jing shows up equally wrecked, furious about the noise. Mother Shu drags herself out looking just as haggard, muttering about her niece arriving soon to finally put me in my place. I emerge glowing, mildly confused why everyone else looks like death. Spring water heals fast, apparently. I glance at Shu Wei's arms and suggest, out loud, trying again tonight with extra spirit water for stamina. Xia Jing's face curdles, especially once she spots Shu Wei casually carrying my sack of bran like it weighs nothing. Her future knowledge has zero record of a Chen Rolan married to this man, and jealousy chews through her composure completely. I don't bother arguing about mushroom yields. More and better than yours, that's all that matters, I say, and take his arm toward the site. He calls me nothing formal anymore, just Wei. Thrilled and pretending not to be. At the lab, he mentions a ewe birthing over at Third Company, already applied for 1+ chicks for our backyard. I light up. Breeding grid's empty, exactly what I need. We ride an ox cart out. Another cart nearly plows into us, carrying a grumpy county veterinarian named He Bing, summoned for the difficult birth. Squad leader Zhao explains. Amniotic fluid's gone, lambs stuck, low odds. One worker suggests fetching me instead. Since my reputation for pulling babies out of stomachs has spread, he takes immediate offense, insists surgeons don't deliver livestock, threatens to quit over the insult. I step in before it escalates. No need to fetch anyone, I'm already here. We agree to assess together, no ego, just saving the animal. He grumbles the whole walk over, the ewe's in bad shape, weak contractions, exhausted. He examines her, declares it hopeless, blames the owners for overfeeding, loses all his house-call dignity in the process. Ignoring his theatrics, I mix medicine powder with concentrated spirit water, borrow his syringe. He hands it over skeptical. 2 minutes later, the ewe's limbs twitch, eyes come back to life. She's got strength, someone shouts. I go in fast, deliver one lamb, then a second, both alive. He stares in disbelief, pivots to a new prediction. Organ damage, won't survive the day, decades of experience talking. Based on your experience, the ewe was already dead, I remind him. I offer to take both lambs home for recovery, purely for their well-being, obviously. Once they're technically on my turf, I activate the breeding grid in my head like a smug landlord collecting rent. Squad leader Zhao, worried about losing the deal, agrees fast, praises my skill and my kind heart. Shu Wei quietly drapes his own coat over my sweaty shoulders, completely smitten and pretending not to be. He, humiliated, mutters about lucky breaks and dangerous unlicensed medicine before squad leader Zhao remembers there are piglets needing castration and asks he to handle it since he's already here. Shu Wei winces at the concept, glancing at my hands with a very specific memory flickering across his face. Cough, cough. He straightens up, pretends he wasn't thinking anything. He starts the traditional slow method, assistant holding each squealing piglet down. I ask to help, purely to speed things up. Turns out I'm, unfortunately for his ego, extremely fast. Grab, flick, done, powder, go, next. The piglets barely register what happened, way less trauma than his method. Shu Wei quietly closes his own legs a little tighter and privately vows never to make me angry again. While everyone's distracted, I sneak 3 of the healthiest piglets into the breeding grid, mark them, hit them with the trick. Golden Spirit Infusion, 10-fold return. 3 become 30 in a flash. Except the original 3 root around normally, while the other 27 just stand there blank-eyed, technically identical, spiritually absent. Copies with the lights on but nobody home. I shrug it off. 27 free pigs is 27 free pigs, blank stare or not. Workshop the metaphysics later. The workers murmur about my skill outclassing the professional, which finally breaks he completely. He drops his tools, refuses payment, storms off. We finish the rest, get our 6 chicks plus 2 bonus ones from sheer gratitude, ride home with a ewe, 2 lambs, 8 chicks, and 27 suspiciously docile pigs. Shu Wei mentions he'll pull extra hours helping the reconnaissance battalion in exchange for fast approval on our livestock permits. He conveniently leaves out the part where he's trading favors behind the scenes for my benefit. Sneaky. Respect. Back at the point, everyone's stunned by our haul. Sheep, chicks, a whole procession. He rushes the animals home to avoid attention while I head to the settlement meeting. Wang Ling shows up with her healing baby, mobbed by curious women demanding scar details, using me as a human shield to escape. Her real complaint, engorged, rock-hard, overproducing milk, mostly because her husband's been drinking straight from the source out of sheer greed. I diagnose blocked ducts from overstimulation, lecture the husband directly. You absolute menace, are all men like this? Somewhere in the back of my mind, unrelated, I think about Shu Wei, who was a perfect gentleman last night. Wait, wrong direction, brain. Grain distribution begins. Big numbers get called. Work points, wheat, corn, sweet potatoes, cash. Everyone credits the harvest bump to my well. My own tally comes in modest, but the real payoff arrives. Sister Zhao's old bet. 30 gin wheat, 50 corn, 80 sweet potatoes, owed after she doubted the well would ever produce water. She begs for mercy on stage. I don't budge on principle, but redirect the whole payout to the elderly folks in Cowshed instead, as a gesture of unity. Crowd eats it up, praises my selflessness. Sister Zhao's husband drags her home in shame. Over at Cowshed, Elder Deng, Elder Song, and grandson Deng Xiaoming nearly collapse in gratitude over the sudden fine grain. The old man nearly kneels before I stop him. Trust the organization, not me. The second settlement wraps, my space pings. Merit reward unlocked, plus 100 power for the well saving the whole village. Pick a reward, 5 extra golden spirit infusion attempts, or 1 random critical multiplier between 10 and 999 times, savable for later. I gamble. Random critical, obviously. Why play safe when the multiplier could be absurd? Reward banked. Now I just have to decide what to point that nuke at. Tractor, tank, airplane, free trip abroad. Genuinely unhinged possibilities. Xiaojing, watching from the crowd, suddenly remembers something huge. Elder Deng and Elder Song aren't random old folks. They're future agricultural and machinery bigwigs about to be reinstated within 6 months. Exactly the connection she needs for the national mushroom competition. She scrambles home, grabs fanciest canned goods, marches over to buy Goodwill. Little Xiaoming immediately yells for his grandparents the second she offers him candy. Elder Deng takes one look and loses it. Are you trying to get us labeled as bourgeois collaborators? He snaps, orders her out, warns the boy never to accept gifts from strangers. She tries arguing, my earlier grain gift was the same thing. He shuts that down hard. Mine was official, public, sanctioned. Hers looks like bribery. Grandma Song nearly tosses dirty wash water at her feet. She storms off humiliated, cursing them under her breath, vowing revenge some other angle later. Back home, I mull over the fact a rare early blizzard is coming per the original plot, meaning food and warmth prep starts now. Sue rushes over travel-worn, just as I'm carrying my grain share, and in a flash of drama, I fake drop the sack, clutch my hand like it's injured. He panics instantly, checks me over, completely convinced I'm fragile. I lean into the bit hard, secretly having lifted 100 pounds without breaking a sweat 2 seconds earlier. He insists on all heavy lifting from now on. Men are built for labor, he says. You're delicate. Sure, delicate. That's the word. We head home past the new construction, foundations laid for the extra housing and my future lab. At the yard, the ewe and lambs are fenced off neatly, chicks chirping in their own pen, vegetables sprouting along the walkway. He's been busy. He plans to clear the outer room for grain storage once his mother relocates. Mentions offhand the mystery drama is about hidden family gold left by his maternal grandparents. Mother Sue has a brother and sister, and her sister's daughter is named Guo Mei Ling. Most of the family's old wealth got seized, but a few untouched properties in the provincial capital and Beijing are apparently still hiding gold bars. This tracks with what I know from the original plot. My cousin Chen Mei eventually steals the key to that gold before Mother Shu dies. Except Chen Mei lost her space powers when I inherited them, so remote theft's off the table now. Small mercies. Speaking of my cousin, let's check in on how miserable she's been. Back in Bin City, Chen Mei kneels at Wang Jianguo's feet, bruised, humiliated, feeding him peeled apples like a servant. He pinches her chin, mocks her new obedience, kicks her aside, demands a foot massage. She grits through it, seething, plotting behind a forced smile. Since being kidnapped and delivered to Wang Jianguo, she's endured actual hell, finally submitting just to survive. At least he's quick about it, disgustingly quick. Though lately he's been popping pills to extend the fun, which is somehow worse. Uncle Su and Liu Xiaoying arrive with fruit, immediately blame Chen Mei for upsetting her benefactor. Liu Xiaoying turns on the charm for Wang Jianguo instantly, groveling for patience. Once alone, the real agenda surfaces. They want to fetch me back to the city, supposedly to reclaim stolen belongings, guilt me into divorcing a disabled soldier with no future. Uncle Su hands Wang Jianguo a photo of me. His whole demeanor shifts. Suddenly, this greasy pervert wants me rescued from rural suffering personally. The single most disgusting sentence I have never heard out loud. He agrees to help find me a city job, pressure me toward divorce, dismisses Xu Wei as a demoted nobody. Liu Xiaoying promises to keep Chen Mei in line, gets sent off with travel money, coupons, cloth. Once home, Liu Xiaoying immediately confiscates all the money, calling her ungrateful. Chen Mei seethes at the audacity, remembering it was these exact people who sold her into this nightmare for cash in the first place. Her real plan, forged mid-torture, is patience. Play along, find Wang Jianguo's hidden gold and antiques, loot it, then have him exposed and destroyed. Getting me delivered to his bed was step one of a longer con. Revenge on me and profit off him simultaneously. She's given up chasing the original plot's Peking University ending. Terrible student before transmigrating anyway. Practical girl, wrong dream. 3 goals for this trip. Steal Mother Shu's gold key, get close to Shu Wei, drag me back to the city as a scapegoat. She figures I'm already tormented by my mother-in-law and starving from drought, ripe for the picking. Little does she know, I've been running an agricultural monopoly with a cheat code cube and marrying the local action hero. None of this news has reached me yet. Back home, freshly showered, I find the yard spotless, animals fed, laundry hung, dinner simmering, all courtesy of Shu Wei. The domestic fantasy is genuinely unfair to other husbands everywhere. He brings me a towel, waits outside politely while I dress, tells me to dry my hair before I catch a chill. Then he starts unbuttoning his own shirt to shower next. I do not leave the room. He assumed, out of habit, I'd politely exit like always. Instead, I plant myself on the kang, chin in hand, and watch, completely unbothered. His hands freeze mid-belt. Face goes faintly red. Last night happened in the dark. This is broad daylight, wife watching like she's grading a performance review. I tease him into finishing the job. Take it off. Why aren't you taking it off? I say, absolutely enjoying myself. He steps into the tub with as much dignity as a man can muster while blushing to his ears, grumbling about how I once compared his body to pork when he was my patient. Still holding that grudge, I laugh, then lean over the tub rim and inform him, quite sincerely, his abs and pecs are extremely, professionally appreciated now that he's mine. His ears catch fire. He mutters something about needing another checkup, mimicking my old clinical tone, half joking, half genuinely trying to flirt back for once. I reach for him, playing along, when a large, hot hand yanks my wrist and nearly pulls me straight into the bathtub. That's exactly when the door bangs open. Mother Shu, arms full of bags, marches in with a young woman in a linen suit and 2 braids trailing behind. Both freeze, Shu Wei shirtless in the tub, me leaning in with a grin, his hand around my wrist. The braided stranger screams, "Cousin, what are you doing? In broad daylight." That's Guo Mei Ling. In her memory, Shu Wei is a stone statue who never smiles. What she just witnessed apparently breaks her entire worldview. His rare smile evaporates instantly, replaced by his usual glacier setting. He sinks lower in the water, tells his mother to knock next time. I play the wounded victim card immediately, clutching his arm, asking innocently what we could possibly have been doing, cousin. Was that a real question? Guo Mei Ling nearly combusts from jealousy. Utterly shameless, she spits. I lean into Shu Wei, all fake remorse, suggesting we finish this tonight instead. He, still annoyed at the interruption, agrees with a completely straight face. Yes, Rulan, you're right. Mother Shu goes pale green. Not this again, she groans, dragging Guo Mei Ling out before she detonates further, muttering about needing sleep tonight. Guo Mei Ling shoots me a filthy look on her way out, sneaks one last longing glance at Shu Wei's arms, then storms after her aunt. Dinner arrives, simple as always. Guo Mei Ling immediately criticizes it, claiming I'm neglecting Mother Shu's tastes, that she personally would cook something better every day for a mother-in-law like her. Mother Shu, mouth already full, cheerfully corrects her. Shu Wei cooked this, not me, and I've been working hard all day. Guo Mei Ling's whole script collapses in real time. What kind of wife doesn't cook and gets served instead? She demands, scandalized. I sip my porridge and quietly recognize the plot beat unfolding. This is the part where Guo Mei Ling and Mother Shu tag-team the original owner into a breakdown. Shu Wei coolly asks why his cousin traveled all this way, points out there's no room and little food, suggests she head home tomorrow. She immediately tears up, claiming she came out of pure concern, watching Aunt suffer out here so thin and starved. Glances meaningfully at Mother Shu's very much not thin figure. Guo Mei Ling, question mark. She pivots fast, announcing the real reason. Her uncle's been reported, stripped of everything, partially paralyzed, and the only family left who can take him in is us. Mother Shu immediately guilts me publicly. Could I really refuse my own uncle after saving strangers and livestock alike? Guo Mei Ling practically vibrates with anticipation, expecting me to explode, refuse, curse them all as heartless. That's exactly what the original owner did in the book, right before Shu Wei stopped speaking to her entirely. Instead, I agree immediately and enthusiastically. Bring him, I say. I even offer to help treat his legs with what medicine I know, on top of my regular job, though I'm upfront that my actual free time will be limited. Mother Shu nearly drops her chopsticks. Guo Mei Ling's jaw goes slack. Neither expected a yes. A real paralyzed elder, moved in permanently, cared for cheerfully? Supposed to be my breaking point. Shu Wei, catching my wink, backs the plan fully, agreeing to bring the uncle over and figure out logistics later. Mother Shu immediately backpedals, suddenly very concerned about her brother's temper causing trouble, suggesting we just forget the idea. Guo Mei Ling agrees fast, panicking about actual bedpan duty landing on her. Shu Wei's expression goes ice cold. Weren't you two just crying about how alone he is? He snaps. Now that we agreed, you're backing out? Were you lying? Testing us? Mother Shu folds instantly, forced to recommit to the very plan she just tried to cancel. Classic self-inflicted disaster. After dinner, Shu Wei calmly assigns Guo Mei Ling full cooking, dish duty, and chicken coop cleaning starting tomorrow, since she claimed to be so good at serving people. He skips animal feeding, worried her spoiled hands might accidentally murder the livestock he worked hard to acquire. Guo Mei Ling, humiliated, has to agree under his cold stare, privately panicking since she can't actually cook either. I retreat to check the space. Alfalfas matured early, bok choy and radishes ready too. Feed crisis, temporarily averted. The 27 piglets are hungry again, because of course they are. 10 times growth means 10 times appetite. Golden spirit infusion, 10-fold return, on the corn stockpile. 2,000 caddies appear instantly. Alfalfas matured in 3 days in the grid, 5,000 caddies per acre versus the usual 3,000 a year. This cube is genuinely breaking the game. I mix a giant batch of feed with spirit water, feed some to the pigs, stash the rest for tomorrow's multiplier round. Outside, Mother Shu and Guo Mei Ling privately scheme about the brick house Shu Wei applied for, planning to relocate once ready, and dump the uncle plus caretaking duties squarely on me. Guo Mei Ling suggests poisoning the uncle's opinion of me in advance, painting me as greedy, just to make my life harder. They giggle at the idea, momentarily forgetting how much dishwashing awaits her tomorrow. That night, the wall show resumes. Round 2, this time with an actual, audible complaint about Xiao Mao's stamina. He begs for more time. She threatens to fetch me for medical help. He panics, orders a repeat of last night's fake shouting routine. 30 seconds later, the noise abruptly stops. Gao Yun asks flatly if it's over. Xiao Mao hedges. Seems like it, maybe. She's had enough of the ambiguity, threatens to consult me directly tomorrow whether he likes it or not. All bark, zero follow-through, exactly as advertised. I relay this recap to Shu Wei with the deadpan delivery of a sports commentator. He blushes, insists he wasn't eavesdropping, then pulls me close anyway and asks, quite directly this time, if we can. I don't argue. He kisses me before I can even pretend to object, and once again the details vanish tastefully off-page. Meanwhile in the outer room, Guo Mei Ling, half asleep, suddenly bolts upright convinced there's an earthquake. Mother Zhu, veteran of this exact noise, just stuffs cotton in her ears, tells her to get used to it or lose the whole night's sleep. Guo Mei Ling eventually realizes what's actually happening, face burning red, jealousy curdling into something close to physical pain. Her aloof, untouchable cousin, thriving in every department, and it's not her beside him. She watches him later, shirtless, quietly fetching water for cleanup, tender and considerate in a way she's never once witnessed. It stings worse than the noise did. The next morning, first thing on my mind, as always, is my daily multiplier. Last night's feed batch turns into a small mountain overnight, stacked in its own compartment like pig currency. I feed the noticeably chunkier piglets, stash the manure for future fertilizer, calculate that this haul could support an entire herd expansion. Su Wei returns from his run, brings me warm water, tells me to wash up. Simple, sweet, married life normal. Then, Guo Mei Ling's voice rings out from the outer room. Breakfast's ready, aunt, cousin. She does not call my name. I don't actually care, but I'm also not the type to suffer silently when there's a scene to be made. So I turn to Shu Wei with maximum wounded puppy energy. Does my cousin have a problem with me? I ask sweetly. I must have done something wrong. Before I even finish, Shu Wei is already calling her back in, dark expression fully deployed, aura doing that thing where the temperature in the room visibly drops. So, there I was, watching my scheming niece-in-law serve me canned luncheon meat like it was cuisine. I'm Chen Ruolan, modern doctor, Rubik's champion, currently cosplaying as a 1970s cannon fodder ex-wife who refuses to die on schedule. Guo Mei Ling called me sister-in-law with a smile so fake it should get its own patent. I thanked her for the hard work. Mentally, I filed her under future problem. The whole spread was 3 cans and some boiled eggs. Cooking level, 0. Effort level, 0. Confidence level, somehow still through the roof. We ate, we went to work. Autumn harvest done, rapeseed and alfalfa season starts. Land doesn't get to rest just because I do. Before anyone noticed, I dosed the ewes, the lambs, the chicks with extra Spirit Spring water. Investment strategy. 10x return incoming. Also, free goat milk. Priorities. Meanwhile, Guo Mei Ling picked the lock on my door. Correction. Tried to. It held. She stomped off cursing me under her breath and fired off a telegram to her uncle in Bin City. Send reinforcements, basically. Little did she know reinforcements were about to become defendants. I went to the health center first. New meds finally arrived. Gauze, painkillers, the basics. Counted them like gold, because out here they basically are. Then the mushroom lab. Xiaojing's door, locked. No Xiaojing in sight. She thinks she's already won. Adorable. Her mycelium was growing like it filed for early retirement. Mine, in the space, was basically sprinting, so I swapped them. Cheating's my whole brand at this point. Someone knocked mid-swap, and I nearly launched the mycelium bag into orbit. Turns out guilty people really do jump at doorbells. Who knew? It was Grandma Song from the cowshed, holding her grandson's hand. Sweet kid. Called me Auntie Sue in the cutest voice imaginable. Grandma Song wasn't sick. She'd brought alfalfa. Her own secret cultivation, better than the imported stuff, and she wanted me to report it to the higher-ups instead of her. Her identity's complicated. Mine isn't. Convenient. Her yield? 4,000 jin per mu, 4 harvests a year, drought-resistant. That's not a crop. That's a national security asset. I told her the truth, sort of. I'd found an even better patch on the back hill myself, obviously. Space output doesn't do mediocre. Grandma Song nearly fainted from excitement. We went and looked. She calculated 5,000 jin per mu on site and started talking succession planning like a woman who'd found her retirement project. Smart move on her part. Report her batch first, keep mine secret as the ace in the hole. 2 chances to win instead of 1. I gave her a mental thumbs up. Old people don't miss. Meanwhile, at headquarters, Secretary Shu was fuming. Some regional supplier named Wang Dafu decided to sit on the alfalfa seeds and the machine oil for a month, basically hostage-taking through paperwork. Classic villain with a warehouse energy. Secretary Shu was already quietly plotting his downfall. Something about resold contraband. He wasn't worried. He was patient. Scary patient. I walked in right as they were wondering if my mysterious black market friend could magically produce alfalfa seeds. Spoiler, couldn't. Foreign exchange controlled, no black market access, sorry. But I had something better. Homegrown, better than imported. Secretary Shu spat out his tea. Direct hit on Qin Jianhui's face. Nobody apologized. I laid out Grandma Song's variety and my mystery patch both, explained the plan, credit assigned to me because her identity's too sensitive to show her face. Secretary Shu lit up like the whole regiment just won the lottery. Wang Dafu's blackmail plan? Dead on arrival. He ordered guards on the ravine immediately. Nobody touches it. He'd report to the division. My reward? Fast-tracked. I tried giving Grandma Song the credit back. Secretary Shu shut that down instantly. Her cover stays intact. He'd reinforce her family's shed for winter instead. Fair trade, honestly. Then, before I even brought it up myself, Secretary Shu asked if my friend could source machine oil, gold, silver, bronze. Yes to all. Trading with him beats the black market every time. Stable, safe, generous. My space needed the metals anyway. Xiaojing's lab stayed empty for days. Incubator's gone. Spawn bag's gone. She's taking her cheat elsewhere to grow it in comfort, then sneaking it back before the deadline. Fine. Whatever amount she dares to fake, I match and beat. That night, Shu Wei came home hollow-cheeked from days away on assignment. Dinner was disaster food, again, courtesy of Guo Mei Ling. Mother Shu finally snapped about the burnt eggs, and Guo Mei Ling deflected straight at me. I mentioned I'd be off gathering herbs for a day or two. Shu Wei's face did a thing. Later, in our room, arms around me, resentful about being left alone with his cousin for even one meal. Don't worry, I said. She promised to take good care of you. He was not comforted by this. He picked me up like I weighed nothing and put me on the Kong. I'll spare you the details. Let's just say I limped the next morning and blamed absolutely nobody but him. Grandma Song, walking beside me up the hill the next day, told me I needed to exercise more. I did not tell her why I was struggling. She saw the ravine. alfalfa, and nearly lost her voice from sheer joy. 5,000 jin, easy, a national contribution. She wanted to report her cultivated batch first and keep mine hidden until the seeds matured. Smart, layered, exactly the kind of plan someone who's survived real hardship makes. I went straight to Secretary Shu and dropped the bomb. Better alfalfa, found already, ready to plant today. He nearly choked on his own excitement. Deployed militia to guard the ravine within minutes. Ordered the report drafted immediately. Wang Defu's leverage, gone. Just like that. Somewhere else in the village that same night, He Kai was trying his luck with his wife Wang Ling, who was not in the mood, mostly because their neighbors kept them up with their own nightly earthquakes. She wanted her mother to take some grain home when she left, payment for a month of unpaid postpartum labor. He Kai's answer to literally everything was, "Ask my mom." Riveting marriage. Wang Ling packed the grain herself the next morning and didn't ask anyone. Then, home. Peaceful days, technically. Shu Wei gone on missions, Mother Shu and Guo Mei Ling avoiding me like I carried a curse. I lived off space food. Buns, braised pork, fried fish, sweet soy milk, the works. Mother Shu ate burnt porridge and suffered in silence, mostly because pride wouldn't let her ask. Guo Mei Ling hatched a new plan with Mother Shu. Wait at the door for me. Use mother-in-law authority to discipline me while Shu Wei's away and can't interfere. They were mid-scheme when a knock came at the door. It was not who they expected. Chen Mei. My cousin. The original female lead of this trashy novel, wearing a Lenin suit, traveled 3 days by train with her parents, Liu Xiuying and Uncle Su, to drag me back to the city. Liu Xiuying took one look at the regiment and called it a wasteland. Uncle Su just wanted food. Chen Mei wanted to watch me suffer, ideally in front of witnesses. They found their way to my brick house, which threw off the entire script. In her novel, I was supposed to be living in a mud hut. Auntie Zhao, walking them there, kept mentioning how the whole regiment depends on me for medical care and how I've never done a single day of field labor. Chen Mei's face cracked slightly at every sentence. They walked in. Liu Xiuying barged past Mother Shu like she owned the place, mocked the porridge, called herself family. Uncle Su sat straight on the Kong with 3 days of grime on him, and Mother Shu screamed him off it. Guo Mei Ling called them beggars. Liu Xiuying called her a foul-mouthed brat. Chen Mei clocked her instantly as the useless cousin character she'd written into her own book. Then the real pitch. They accused me of stealing 4,000 yuan from the family. Framed, obviously, since the actual thief was their own son. Uncle Su tried the soft angle first, offering to take me back to the city, painting Shu Wei as damaged goods, half-paralyzed, useless. Mother Shu went white with rage. It was her family that pushed this marriage in the first place. Liu Xiuying sweetened the pitch. A bureau chief. Powerful. Wealthy. Ready-made family, 2 kids included, no childbirth required. All I had to do was divorce my husband. I asked, casually, if this bureau chief happened to be the one my cousin just married. Bullseye. Liu Xiuying panicked less than I expected and confirmed it outright, calling it the luck of 8 lifetimes. Chen Mei tried the wounded act, insisting the bureau chief was misunderstood and gentle, that he just didn't like her enough. Guo Mei Ling jumped straight onto the bandwagon, practically shoving me toward the door. Before she finished her sentence, smack. I slapped her across the face, hard. She screamed betrayal and hid behind Mother Shu, who flinched away from me like I was a loaded weapon. Correctly in this case. I laid it out plain. I took nothing from the Su family. I'm not divorcing Shu Wei for a wife-beating bureau chief, and everyone currently standing in my house needed to leave. Third strike, obviously. I'd already decided that Sax and Darkness were the polite version of my revenge plan. Public was the upgrade. Liu Xiuying pulled out a police report claiming 4,000 yuan missing, staged evidence of a crime her own son committed. I nearly admired the audacity. She demanded to search my room. I told her to try it and see what happens. She stormed outside instead and started wailing to the whole camp, slapping her thighs, calling me an ungrateful thief in front of half the village. It worked, sort of. A crowd gathered fast, except nobody believed her. Not one villager. I've dug wells, saved lives, and apparently that buys more credibility than a piece of paper. Then Zhao Mei, freshly released from labor camp, decided to pile on, accusing me of funding my extravagant lifestyle with stolen money. Bad move. I walked straight up and slapped her. 3 times. Open palm, full commitment. The crowd gasped. Someone whispered they'd never seen Dr. Su that fierce before. Then I turned to my cousin. 2 more slaps. I ripped open her sleeve and pant leg in front of everyone, exposing bruises old and fresh, courtesy of her lovely husband. The crowd gasped again, louder this time. Turns out nobody enjoys watching a 40-year-old wife killer's handiwork on public display. I explained the whole scheme. They wanted me to take her place in that marriage. The real thief was their own son. I demanded Auntie Zhao hold them for the police. Everyone panicked at the mention of police. Uncle Su begged, backtracked, apologized on the spot. Too late for that. Then a voice cut through the crowd. "Su Wei, back early. Police escort in tow." His eyes found me instantly. I dropped the whole Ice Queen act and did my best terrified rabbit impression straight into his chest. Not even faking it that hard, honestly. He held me and asked who bullied me, voice gone completely arctic. Chen Mei tried her big moment next, the tragic first meeting she'd written for her own book, throwing herself at his feet, reminding him of some promise from years back. He looked at her like she was a stranger. Because to him, she was. She melted down completely. He turned to the officer instead and had her arrested as an accomplice. That was a slap in the face nobody saw coming, including her. Liu Shuying pivoted to guilt, dragging up an old debt about the Su family once saving his father's life. Su Wei agreed the debt was real, said he intended to repay it in full. To Chen Ruolan, his wife, the one true heir of that kindness, not to any of them. Then he handed the whole family to the police as flight risks connected to a corrupt official, and requested to personally assist the investigation. The lead officer practically saluted. 3 members of the Su family loaded into a jeep. Chen Mei glared at me the whole ride out. Something dawned behind her eyes that I did not love. Zhao Mei, meanwhile, packed her bags that same night. Wang Fuqiang had sent word. She thought she'd finally caught a break. She had not. Home again. Su Wei apologized for not returning sooner. I told him to sit down, I'd cook something quick. He asked how I knew he hadn't eaten. I told him his abs felt smaller. His ears went red. He started the fire himself. Egg drop soup, scallion pancakes, out in minutes. Mother Su and Guo Mei Ling's stomachs growled loud enough to file a complaint. I didn't share. Su Wei, chewing, informed his mother flatly that a comrade would be arranging suitors for Guo Mei Ling within days. She's not young anymore. Time to move on. Mother Su didn't dare argue. That night, in bed, he promised to fix everything his cousin caused, whispered apologies, worried I'd resent him over Guo Mei Ling lingering. I told him it wasn't much trouble. Understatement of the year. I was living my best life on space rations, while everyone else starved on burnt porridge. Meanwhile, across town, Secretary Shu closed the net on Wang Defu, reselling military ration coupons. Capital offense. Even his connections couldn't save him. Wang Fuqiang, comfortable in his uncle's supply warehouse, ordered Zhao Mei to spy on me. Big plans involving broken legs, and worse. Charming man. The door got kicked in before he finished his cigarette. Secretary Shu, with police in tow. Uncle arrested for smuggling. Nephew arrested for association. Zhao Mei, dragged out mid-escape from her own labor sentence, staring in horror as her one lucky break evaporated on the spot. I heard about Wang Defu's downfall 3 days later. Possible execution. Didn't care much. I had a mushroom competition to watch. Xia Jing showed up at my door that morning, smug in a cream dress, demanding I hurry to the inspection. I finished my breakfast first. Fairness has rules, even for cheaters. The past few days, cooking duty had officially fallen back to me. Mother Shu can't cook. Guo Mei Ling's cooking. Dogs wouldn't touch. In exchange, all the chores got dumped on her. Feed the sheep, cut hay, mix the pig slop, clean the yard. Fair trade, honestly. I had 0 objections. Self-sufficiency is my whole personality now. 2 days earlier, I'd braised 10 pounds of pork into oblivion, stashed the surplus in the space with a quiet tenfold return, and now, lunch and dinner were just reheating somebody else's imaginary labor. Efficient. Borderline criminal. I'll allow it. Xia Jing clocked my yard, tidy, well-fed, thriving, and then froze completely. 2 birds strolling the corner, brilliant plumage. Golden pheasants, nationally protected. Basically, a jail sentence with feathers. I called them red-tailed chickens and shrugged. Shu Wei brought them back from a hunting trip that didn't pan out for rabbits. I liked them, so we kept them as pets for now. Egg-laying champions, honestly. Xia Jing swallowed her outrage and smiled instead, already plotting my arrest for later. One problem at a time, apparently. At the lab, the technician measured Xia Jing's yield first. 150 jin projected, suspiciously excellent for someone who'd vanished for a week. Then mine. 200 jin, quality obviously superior. Xia Jing accused me of cheating on the spot. Rich, coming from her. I proposed daily joint supervision from both labs, no more moving mushroom bags in secret. She agreed instantly, way too eager. and suggested bringing in the retired dean of the provincial academy to referee, her father's old ally. She figured he'd side with her automatically. I agreed without blinking. She should have read the room. Dean Qianhua showed up already furious, having just heard about our unauthorized 4,000 jin alfalfa. He inspected the fields, softened considerably once he saw the results firsthand, then demanded to see the mushroom labs personally. Xia Jing's lab, suspiciously overloaded again. Dean Shen called her out on the padding directly, warned her about falsified numbers and accountability. Then mine. He nearly pressed his face into the mycelium rack. 300 jin projected. He accused me of smuggling in mature mushrooms. I told him maybe his knowledge just wasn't broad enough. His mustache genuinely stood on end. He ordered 100 fresh mycelium tubes issued to each of us. Starting today, full daily supervision, no exceptions, no excuses. Xia Jing panicked internally but agreed, still convinced her father's resources would carry her through. She did the math fast. New tubes wouldn't have time to fully mature before harvest, but her existing rigged batch would still hold the lead. Confident smile back on. Reader, it was not going to work out for her. I was thrilled. Free legal cover for my ridiculous yield, forever. I told him he could visit 8 times a day if he wanted. They moved both labs into the brand new brick research building. Xia Jing claimed the biggest room and announced she was also moving out of Educated Youth Point entirely. Something about noise at night. She glared at me the whole time she said it. My ears went a little red on that one. Not my fault Su Wei has unreasonable stamina. Qin Jianhui, bless his single unmarried heart, assumed the whole household was just built on shaky foundations. Structural issue. He nodded sympathetically and filed her transfer paperwork without asking a single follow-up question. Back home, dinner went smoothly. Space food disguised as home cooking, nobody the wiser. Mother Su mentioned the new brick houses and asked when she could move in. Turned out she and Guo Mei Ling had already sent for her paralyzed older brother, Uncle Guo, timing it around an empty room that didn't actually exist yet. Classic Guo Mei Ling planning, half-baked and fully selfish. Mother Shu panicked and tried to rush off to delay the telegram. Too late. Guo Mei Ling's voice rang out from the yard, bright with fake excitement, announcing she'd brought someone home. Shu Wei dropped his chopsticks and went to the door himself, taking the wheelchair handle and pushing his uncle inside. Uncle Guo, old war wound, shrapnel in the leg, never properly treated, never walked again since. Fierce face, until he saw his sister and nephew, and then it actually softened. Then his eyes landed on me. Guo Mei Ling had clearly done her homework on the trip over, told him I'd swindled Mother Shu out of her savings, faked medical promises, kept Shu Wei wrapped around my finger while doing nothing at home myself. A full smear campaign, deployed before I even said hello. He pulled a small parcel from his pocket, unwrapped it, and set a goldfish ornament on the table with a hard little tap. Wedding gift, he said, dripping sarcasm. Something about honesty, about not making promises to cure a decade-old cripple's leg just to swindle a family out of their savings. Guo Mei Ling lit up instantly, urging me to grab the gold and prove exactly how greedy I supposedly was. Shu Wei's face went cold in about half a second. He put himself squarely between us. Uncle, he said, voice dropping several degrees, what exactly do you mean by that? Mother Shu shrank into the corner, suddenly very interested in her rice bowl. Guo Mei Ling's smug little smile flickered, just slightly, like she hadn't actually expected her cousin to defend me on command. I stayed quiet. Let the man work. He's very good at this part. Uncle Guo's fierce face twitched, caught somewhere between wounded war hero and a man who'd clearly been fed nothing but gossip for 3 days straight. He glanced at the goldfish still sitting on the table between us like an unexploded grenade, glanced at his nephew's face, and visibly reconsidered his opening line. Too late to take it back now, old man. I've got a whole file of receipts, and I'm just getting started. And that's where we're leaving it for now. So Uncle Guo rolls in with a gold bar and a grudge. I take the gold bar first. Priorities. Thank you for the blessing, Uncle. I'll accept it. Then, calm as anything. But I never promised to fix your leg. Cue internal monologue from him, and I could read it off his face. Classic script. Old war hero thinks I'm a gold digger who panicked. Meanwhile, I'm doing actual medicine with my eyeballs. His upper body is jacked. His leg muscle mass is way too good for a man supposedly dead from the waist down. Nerves aren't fried, just buried. Free healing for a stranger who showed up swinging insults? Hard pass on volunteering that. Why paint a target on myself? He calls me a fraud. Loudly, in front of everyone. I hold up 3 fingers like I'm ordering value meals. I don't treat evil people. I don't treat morally bankrupt people. Pause for effect. And I don't treat fools who believe gossip over their own eyes. Guess which category I'm employing he's in. He nearly launches out of the wheelchair. Fought the Japanese, took shrapnel, bled for the country. How dare I? Classic short fuse, easiest kind of man to steer if you're patient. And also, respect, actually earned. I soften, slightly. I meant you're the third type, I say, sweet as pie. Not evil, not shady, just gullible. Uncle Guo, buffering. Shu Wei just watches me with the face of a man who married a loaded weapon and regrets nothing. He caves eventually. Matt agrees that if I heal him, I get his whole fortune. I counteroffer. I'll donate it to disabled veterans in his name. Free good deed, no charge. He agrees without thinking, still positive I'm bluffing. Then Mother Shu remembers everyone's starving and food happens. Braised pork, potatoes, glossy eggplant, the works. Uncle Guo, still furious 2 minutes ago, inhales 2 bowls of rice like a man reborn. Belly full, guard down, he asks who cooked. Silence at the table. My husband, this granite block of a man, actually looks proud. Rulan made it. Uncle Guo's smile freezes mid-chew. He just called this woman a con artist and then ate her cooking like it personally saved his soul. Man's got range. He insists on washing dishes to make up for it. Old habit from a hard life, turns out. Textile family, army surrender, early hustle, real grinder energy under the gruff. Guo Meiling is thrilled someone else is doing chores, until Shu Wei reassigns the dishes right back to her. She goes from delighted to devastated in one sentence. Then, the housing drama. Guo Meiling tries to be clever, volunteers me for the outer room so she can dodge sleeping next to a paralyzed uncle. Petty logic. No me on the Kang means no more nightly noise complaints from next door, wink wink. Mother Shu almost bites. Shu Wei shuts it down instantly. Married couple sleeps together, end of discussion. Also, that's my medicine room, don't touch it. He strings up a curtain divider like some kind of frontier engineer and puts Guo Meiling on the floor. She pouts. Floor's cold. Nobody cares. Uncle Guo gets left alone at the clinic while I go check mushrooms. He surveys the place. Bare walls, no cabinets, 1 wheelchair, 1 table, 0 patients. His verdict? This is a joke, and he got played by his own niece for nothing. So he builds stools out of scrap wood instead. Old carpenter habits. Turns out he taught Shu Wei everything he knows. Meanwhile, at the mushroom lab, Xia Jing is still performing for Elder Shen like it's an audition. She sees me and immediately fires off a shot about my suspiciously large yield. I return serve, ask how she's managing 250 jin with all her fancy equipment. She calls it technology. I call it a bad excuse. Elder Shen wants receipts, follows me to my room, watches me disinfect everything to a surgical standard. He nods. Xia Jing calls it a magic trick. I call it going home. I have patience. I do not have patience yet. That changes fast. I'm barely out the door when disaster crashes into the clinic behind me. Turns out half the regiment went turtle hunting, found a wild boar family instead, and decided, yes, let's fight it. Bold strategy. Uncle Guo, alone at the clinic, watches a man get carried in with his guts basically visible and screams for the county hospital. The wounded crowd just laughs it off. Dr. Su's got this, no rush, hospital's expensive anyway. Uncle Guo thinks he's surrounded by lunatics. I get back to a mob at my own front door. 15 minutes. Acupuncture to stop the bleed, wound cleaned, intestines soaked in spirit spring, stitched shut. Lao-san wakes up groggy and asks about his pig before he asks about his organs. Man's got priorities too. Dozen more patients get patched before dark. Uncle Guo watches the whole shift in silence. The guy who saw amputations on the battlefield, just witnessing triage speedrun. No screaming, no sawing, just efficient chaos. His niece-in-law is, in his own head, kind of terrifying. Qin Jianhui shows up after with wild boar meat and a turtle, plus news that Secretary Shu is getting promoted to the county seat and handing down his bicycle. Translation? Our supply chain just got a friendly upgrade at HQ. I say congratulations, and mean it. Shu Wei comes home with a haul of his own information. He skipped the boar hunt entirely, said he just wanted to finish work and go on a mission early to surprise me. I tell him I'll pack him travel biscuits. Uncle Guo ignored the entire walk home while we flirt around him. Do these two think I'm dead already? We're about to eat when the street outside erupts. Fighting. Screaming. Someone's about to get murdered, apparently. I abandon dinner instantly. Gossip is a sacred resource. Do not waste it. Turns out it's Wang Ling chasing her mother-in-law down the road with a kitchen knife. Legendary. Grandma He is sprinting for her life. He Kai, husband, chases both of them, holding the baby, useless as ever. Grandma He collapses into Qin Jianhui's lap and starts listing grievances. Wang Ling gave her own mother grain and meat from this household. Scandal, outrage, someone call the elders. The crowd, predictably, sides with Grandma He. Married daughters like spilled water, and so on. Old proverbs doing old damage. Wang Ling fires back with receipts. Her mother came from the city, worked a full month postpartum, brought food, earned nothing back but resentment. Meanwhile, Zhao's family ships meat to his uncles, no questions asked. Same rule, different gender, suddenly a scandal. I quietly give her a thumbs up. This woman is built for capitalism in a future she hasn't met yet. Grandma He pulls the real weapon. Threaten divorce. Threaten the kid's future. No man wants a divorced woman with a daughter. Wang Ling's knife hand actually shakes. That's the real wound. Not pride, fear for the baby. He Kai, coward of the century, backs his mother while pretending to be the reasonable one. Divorce me and you're alone forever, he says, very generously. This is where I step in. Not to referee the fight. I tell Ling straight. Some of what they're saying reflects reality right now. He Kai looks smug for exactly one sentence. Then I offer her a job. Mushroom site, live in, work points plus a subsidy, kid welcome. A literal way out that doesn't depend on this marriage at all. The crowd goes wild calculating the pay rate. Wang Ling looks at me like I just handed her a parachute mid-fall. She doesn't cave. She sets terms instead, tells Zhao's family exactly what her mother's taking home. No negotiation, or it's divorce. Grandma He screams that no one will divorce a man. Zhao panics and instantly agrees to everything because word just got out that Dr. Su is arranging jobs, and he does not want to be on my bad side. Loyalty, purchased in real time by proximity to my paycheck. Wang Ling leaves with her dignity and a plan. I did not mediate. I just handed her leverage. We finally sit down to dinner, cold turtle soup and all. Guo Mei Ling complains I watched a fight instead of checking Uncle's leg. Then she escalates, claims she saw him nearly fall crawling to the outhouse because I neglected him all afternoon. I make a fist. Knuckles click. She remembers the slap from earlier fast and shuts up. Uncle Guo, to everyone's shock, defends me himself, says I spent the whole afternoon saving lives. His legs aren't going anywhere, and Guo Mei Ling should apologize. She does, through gritted teeth. Shu Wei backs it up in full husband mode. My wife has her own judgment. Back off. Guo Mei Ling's eyes go red. She cannot understand why her cousin keeps siding against her. After dinner, I finally examine Uncle Guo's leg properly. Needles at the thigh, at the knee, feeling for tension and warmth through fabric. Uncle Guo is baffled I don't even ask for old x-rays. Shu Wei gets weirdly hung up on the fact I made him strip fully naked during his own exam, but Uncle Guo just gets pants rolled up. He demands an explanation. I cough, loudly. Different conditions, I say. Different conditions meaning I wanted to see his abs and had zero medical justification for it. Diagnosis? Shrapnel. Pinching a nerve, some scar tissue stuck where it shouldn't be. Surgery. Cut it loose. Clear the dead tissue. Let it regrow. 2 months to walk. 80% success rate, I say. 99% in my head, but you don't announce miracle cures out loud in a village with eyes everywhere. Guo Mei Ling immediately spins it as sabotage, says I'm exaggerating the risk on purpose so a failure won't be my fault. Mother Su almost buys it. Su Wei doesn't blink, says he trusts my number completely. The real odds are probably higher. Uncle Guo stews on it overnight, torn between hope and the very real fear of ending up worse than he started. Back in our room, my period picks that exact moment to remind me the plot still has teeth. Cramps like a truck, vision blackout, cold sweat, all courtesy of my lovely transmigrated cousin's little curse left over in this body. I'd almost forgotten I inherited baggage. Su Wei panics properly for the first time I've seen. Picks me up, lays down a sheet first so I don't ruin the bedding, and demands to know if the blood is normal. It is not normal, spirit spring and all, but I can't exactly explain forced plot mechanics to a 1970s army commander. He presses acupoints where I tell him, fetches painkillers, boils water, asks, dead serious, if he can wash me and change my clothes himself, since I taught him nothing about privacy back when I made him strip for a checkup that definitely wasn't medically required. I go red. Rare for me. He wins that argument on the grounds of pure fairness, and honestly, watching this stone-faced commander fumble with folding a menstrual pad like it's a tactical briefing might be the funniest thing I've witnessed all week. He takes notes. Actual written notes. Cycle length, symptoms, acupoint pressure duration, whether to prep brown sugar water in advance. Fills a whole page. Somewhere in there he asks about fertile windows, very solemnly, like he's planning troop movements. Then asks if I even want kids. I test him a little, ask what if I never want them. His answer lands soft and real. I'm Chen Ruolan first, myself first, everything else after. Kids are a bonus if they come, not a requirement. That's the whole answer, no conditions attached. I let it go at, let's leave it to fate, and he kisses my forehead and tells me to sleep. Genuinely, one of the only unguarded moments either of us gets this week. I mean that one without the jokes. I duck into cube space anyway before sleeping, because a girl boss never clocks out. Vegetables ripening, apple saplings coming along, chicken population somehow doubling itself through the return glitch. My real backyard chickens are still babies. My space chickens are already laying eggs like it's a factory job. Cheat code stays undefeated. Shu Wei, it turns out, was very much not asleep either, for reasons entirely unrelated to farming. We negotiate. He wins that round too, quietly. Next morning he's changed my pad in his sleep without waking me, apparently a covert ops specialty now, and left breakfast warm under a bowl like some kind of domestic special forces unit. House is empty, quiet, perfect. I make my own biscuit dough, sew a stack of better menstrual belts with padding, then abuse my cheat code to multiply them tenfold. Efficiency. Then, Auntie Zhao and Wang Ling show up at the gate, hauling half a train car of hometown food, insisting I take it all because I'm the one who actually helped, unlike certain in-laws. I try to refuse. Nobody in this village lets me refuse anything anymore. Barely finish setting lunch when the gate bangs open again and Lao-san gets carried back in, worse than yesterday, vomiting blood foam, looking near death. Uncle Guo loses it, screaming to rush him to the county hospital, convinced my surgery yesterday was botched, and now the after effects are killing him. Turns out the actual crime here is dietary. His wife Cui Hua got worn down by his hunger and fed him egg soup, against explicit instructions not to eat anything before passing gas. Somewhere online in my old life, there was a joke about patients hiding what they ate before surgery. Never thought I'd live it. Bloated abdomen, tympanic sound, classic obstruction. I decompress it fast, needle his gut points, feed spirit springs straight through a tube. He stabilizes in minutes. Uncle Guo realizes, red-faced, that this was never my failure. It was a family feeding a recovering patient soup against doctor's orders. He apologizes on the spot, properly this time, no attitude. Shu Wei doesn't let it go that easy either. Tells his uncle exactly how close that scolding came to costing a life, if anyone had actually listened to him yesterday. Uncle Guo takes it on the chin, commits to the surgery for real now, says worse than paralyzed is still not worse than currently paralyzed, so why not gamble? Set for the very next day. Round 2 at the mushroom site. Xia Jing still sniping, still convinced my numbers are fraud. Elder Shen finally does the full inspection himself, checks tampering evidence, hair strands on the door and windows untouched, confirms nobody snuck in. My mycelium's just built different. Elder Shen starts talking record-breaking yields out loud. Xia Jing starts quietly panicking that I might be a fellow reborn person who cheated her way into fungus mastery. She is not wrong to be scared. Side quest at Auntie Zhang's place turns into a whole other genre of comedy. Gao Yun's crying, mother-in-law's trying to bury the story, and it all spills out anyway. Her husband Xiao Mao has been faking noise on their wedding night because nothing was actually happening downstairs. All that turtle soup and chives for nothing. I nearly lose professional composure laughing. In my defense, the universe wrote that joke, not me. Diagnosis. Once he shows up sheepishly for his pulse check, kidney deficiency. Easy fix. Acupuncture plus a very placebo-flavored saline injection, I dress up as rare provincial medicine. Works like a charm because belief does half the healing. Month, tops. Grain trade closes out the day, plus a smoked ham shoved directly into my husband's arms by a mortified Xiao Mao, who cannot bear owing me and not paying it back somehow. That night, before Uncle Guo's real surgery, Shu Wei gets a little too into gratitude mode again. Compressed biscuits, thank yous, a kiss that goes further than the usual restrained ones. He pulls back before it goes anywhere, tells me to sleep, we'll talk tomorrow. Frustratingly disciplined man. Surgery day. I clear the room of gossips, keep Shu Wei as my only assistant, and open Uncle Guo's leg like it's routine, because at this point, it kind of is. He hears the scalpel and admits it's the creepiest sound he's ever not felt. Mother Shu and Guo Meiling spy through the window crack the whole time, watching blood and cut tissue spiraling into their own horror movie. Guo Meiling decides on the spot, this is revenge for yesterday's scolding, convinces herself I've deliberately crippled him for good. She doesn't stick around to see the actual outcome. She runs straight to the regimental headquarters and sends a telegram to Uncle Guo's grown children abroad and married off, telling them their father got cut open without permission and is now bedridden for good, framing it exactly the way that gets furious relatives on the next train. Meanwhile, the actual surgery goes fine. Layered stitching, a little spirit spring at the deep tissue, bandaged clean, done. Recovery's just discomfort and time now. Days pass. Lao San shows up healed, kowtowing with eggs and cured meat he insists I take. Guo Mei Ling gets buried under chores she resents but can't dodge. I discover the cube glitch that multiplies sealed containers tenfold, so now I've got 50 spare lunchboxes of goat milk candy and zero idea how deep this exploit goes. Shu Wei keeps quietly noticing every gift I conveniently produce and filing it under things not to ask about. I started this story as cannon fodder, scheduled to die screaming in Chapter 1. Now I run the clinic, the mushroom farm, the household budget, and apparently a black market menstrual belt production line, and I still haven't lost a single round against anyone dumb enough to challenge me. But here's what nobody at this dinner table knows yet. Guo Mei Ling already sent that telegram. Uncle Guo's furious grown children are already on a train, coming to handle me for operating on their father without asking. My cousin back in the capital, the actual reborn villainess who wants my cube for herself, hasn't made her real move yet either. And the greedy side of my own family is still out there, still counting money they think they're owed. Ask me next time whether an entire angry adult family showing up at my door beats wild boars and jealous mushroom rivals combined.